The energy is electric at the school track, screams from the sidelines drowning out the sound of pounding feet. One runner just annihilated the competition, crossing the finish line in a blistering 2 minutes, 36.7 to 9 seconds. Meet Zhuo Jing. He's the main character of this saga, and the girls in the crowd instantly lose their minds. He looks completely unbothered, dumping a bottle of water over his head. Big mistake, the slow-motion hair flip just sends the fangirls into a squealing frenzy. One brave soul struts forward, offering him a towel. She looks like she just won the lottery when he actually takes it. But while he's drying off, his eyes are locked on a holographic system panel only he can see. Results are in. Running experience up by 20. His running skill just hit level 3, sitting at 258 out of 800 points. The XP gain is better than usual, but then another stat catches his eye, and it ruins his mood. Charm increased by 45. He scowls, why does this absolutely useless stat level up faster than the ones that matter? Out of nowhere, a basketball hurtles toward his face. Jing's hand snaps up, catching it with zero effort. That wasn't an accident. He doesn't know the motive, but judging by the death stare he's getting, the culprit is standing right behind him. Jing's buddy, Li Gei, jogs over, asking what the drama is about and if he knows the guy. Then Li Gei freezes. He recognizes the attacker instantly. It's Pei Yuguang, the notorious school tyrant. Li Gei panics, asking, why on earth Jing is beefing with a guy like that? He sighs, guessing it's over a girl again. He begs Jing to just pick a girlfriend already and stop drawing so much heat from every jealous dude on campus. But Jing, he couldn't care less about romance. Li Gei points out that while Jing might be indifferent, the guys around him are definitely keeping score. He warns him, Yuguang is bad news, asking what the plan is. Jing's response is deadpan, he's just going to keep working out. Li Gei almost snaps, screaming that gym sessions won't save him, he needs martial arts. But here's the thing, maybe exercise is useless for normies, but Jing isn't normal. A month ago, he got isekai'd into this parallel world that looks suspiciously like Earth. And he didn't come alone, he brought a system interface. In this new life, the grind actually pays off. Every drop of sweat counts. As long as he puts in the reps, the system unlocks skills. He met the hidden criteria and just unlocked a new ability, aiming, level 1. But while the daily grind turns him into a beast, his metabolism is burning through resources fast, and his fridge is looking tragic. It's completely barren. He isn't training this hard just for aesthetics. It's about survival. He lives in the 5th metropolitan circle. Think of it like a target. Inner circle means luxury, outer circle means poverty. The further out you are, the more hopeless life gets. Closer to the center, that's where the power and money live. With 6 months left until graduation, he has 2 options. Fight his way into the elite inner circle, or rot in the slums forever. It's crunch time. Jing heads out to restock his kitchen, but the bill hits 210 credits. His face drains of color. He starts putting items back on the shelf, desperate to keep the cost down. 30 credits for 5 eggs? He mutters under his breath. Inflation is absolute insanity. Cutting through a dim alleyway, a shadow suddenly lunges at him. It's a stray cat, blocking his path, like a highway robber demanding a toll. But something's off. The creature is battered, covered in fresh scars, like it just crawled out of a war zone. Then, the impossible happens. The cat speaks, groaning about how brutal the stray life is. Jing stops dead. Did that cat just talk? He stares, wondering if he's finally cracked. That's when he spots the strange rings on its tail. He reaches out, and his system pings, divine substance detected. He absorbs the divinity instantly. This planet, Earthstar, also known as Jushia, has a dark history. 287 years ago, God died. The entire population watched the celestial event unfold live, and they cheered. With the gods gone, humanity claimed their independence. Now, Jing plans to grind his stats, until he ascends to godhood himself. Back at his apartment, he tosses some kibble to the cat, but the furball rejects it. It looks at the bowl with pure disgust. Jing is irritated. This beggar is acting like a chooser. Then it clicks. This thing talks. It's definitely not just a normal animal. He pivots to the kitchen and fires up the stove. Cooking experience jumps by 20 as he chops veggies with surgical precision, tossing everything into the wok over a high flame. Moments later, he serves a steaming bowl of green pepper and shredded pork. The cat's eyes go wide, drool practically hitting the floor. It devours the meal. Jing smirks, vindicated. His theory was spot on. The reason this creature speaks the human tongue is simple. It's not a cat. It's a human trapped in a cat's body. And the cause? He's betting everything. It's connected to those mysterious tail rings. Suddenly, a notification pops up. Divinity absorption complete. The divine skill, Twin Life, sat inactive in his menu. Requirement, a hefty divinity cost, 525 out of 50. But the conditions were met. The system prompt flashed. Activate? Is that even a question? He slammed yes. The screen exploded in light. Pinging a notification. Skill, Twin Life, successfully activated. Jing squinted at the description. Wait, the passive effect gives him 2 extra lives? He can choose a respawn window within 7 days. Cooldown is 3 months. He stared at the holographic panel, jaw on the floor. It's literally a guardian angel. If the passive is this broken, the active skill must be absolutely god tier. The catch? The active skill is locked behind a paywall, needs divinity to unlock, and he's sitting at a measly 25 out of 500. Jing's eyes slid over to the cat. Easy XP source? He considered draining the rest of its divinity, but stepping closer, he saw the little guy was wrecked. He paused. Draining it now? That's straight-up villain behavior. He needs a plan B. Can't just abandon the asset, though. He geared up to head out. Mission: hunt for clues on divinity. Meanwhile, he set up a surveillance cam. The cat is on lockdown at the safe house. He's stuck in the outer ring. Crossing into the inner ring? For regular folks, the difficulty setting is stuck on Nightmare. Even if you manage to sneak in, the entry fee swipes your entire life savings. Still, the masses rush toward it, but they're missing the cheat code. Become a martial artist, and the doors fly open. Cut to a shady alley. A thug blocks Jing's path, metal bat in hand. Jing doesn't flinch. Can I help you? The bald guy turns to his blonde buddy. This the guy Boss Yu Guang wants? You're cooked, kid. Jing sighs. Thud. Baldy hits the pavement before the threat even lands. The crew freezes. Did he even move? Blondie drops next. Crack. Third guy takes one right between the eyes. Jing hasn't moved an inch. He's just flicking pebbles. Skill. Aiming. Doing all the heavy lifting. They're writhing on the concrete, realizing this kid isn't prey. But one genius decides to rush him anyway. Jing's vision sharpens. He weaves past the fist. Boom. The punch craters the ground where Jing just stood. That's not brute strength. That's martial arts. The thug growls. Annoyed he can't tag this slippery target. Jing smirks. Perfect. If Yu Guang knows the arts, that saves Jing the trouble of hunting for a teacher. He steps up. Spill everything you know. Or else. Smash cut. Yu Guang is eating dirt. He's shaking, promising to talk. Jing grins. Thought this guy was a boss fight? After all that hype, dude is a one-trick pony, just spamming the same punch. Jing analyzes the pattern instantly. Yup, that's it. But hey, thanks for the XP. Conditions met. Skill unlocked. Fighting. Combined with aiming, his accuracy is surgical. Dealing with a low-level artist like Yu Guang? Too easy. Yu Guang is pleading for mercy. That punch, Jing asks. What is it? Yu Guang stammers. It's not a move. It's inner force. Channeling full-body energy and blasting it out. Teach me, Jing demands. I only know the basics, Yu Guang cries. Jing grabs him by the collar. Useless. What about the rep? Smoking, drinking, perms, arson, murder, aggressive breakdancing? You folded way too fast for a hardcore gangster. It's all fake, Yu Guang squeals. Just clout for street cred. If I actually did that stuff, I'd be expelled. Slap. Jing keeps it real. Forget today's lesson. And it's on site every time I see you. Since he likes bullying, he's writing a public apology essay. Read it out loud. 10 times. Tomorrow morning in front of the whole class. Have your minion film it. Yu Guang, face swollen and weeping, nods rapidly. I swear, I'll do it. Jing shifts his weight. Yu Guang shrieks, cowering. No more. But Jing just swipes his phone. GPS open. Dojo address found. If this clown can't teach inner force, Jing will find the master who can. Night falls. Inner ring boundary. He follows the nav. Turn right. 120 meters out, the system pinged him with a post-battle notification. Boom. Plus 109 fitness points, and plus 50 aiming experience secured. A wave of energy washed over him, granting a solid plus 33 to health preservation. The requirements for the fighting skill? Met. And the cherry on top. A fat plus 68 battle experience. The interface flickered as his stats refreshed. Fitness leveled up to 2, sitting at 431 out of 500. Health preservation hit level 1 with 269 out of 300. Cooking simmered at level 2, scoring 279 out of 500. Running sprinted to level 3, boasting 502 out of 800 points. His charm stat? A smooth level 2, clocking in at 398 out of 500. Aiming locked in at level 1 with 208 out of 300. And finally, fighting unlocked at level 1 with 68 out of 300 points. Usually, grinding his soul away at the gym for an hour only bumped his fitness by like 200 points. But this one scrap? It rewarded him way more than any workout and literally handed him a new skill. The realization hit him like a truck. If he wanted to level up fast, he needed to throw hands more often. Moments later, he pulled up to the Golden Wind Dojo. The place was actually way nicer than expected. He stepped inside to check it out, but the receptionist instantly shushed him with a finger to her lips. Class was in session. He glanced over. The master was in the middle of drilling 5 students. The lesson? Breathing techniques. The absolute bedrock of martial arts. Control the breath, and you unlock the body's hidden force. Only when chi flows through the whole system are you considered a real initiate. Jing's eyes snapped open. This cultivation 101 was exactly the missing puzzle piece he needed. He leaned in close to the receptionist, whispering to ask about signing up. Being that close made her face flush red. She was definitely vibing with his looks. She gave him the green light, but warned him not to push his limits. Just like that, his charm stat farmed another plus 30 experience points. He thanked her and slid onto an empty cushion, locking his focus on the master's voice. The receptionist watched anxiously, sweating over whether a total newbie like Jing could handle the intensity. The command was simple: inhale until your lungs are about to pop, and hold it. The girl silently prayed for just one success story. Otherwise, the master was going to roast her for wasting his time again. By the time the master counted to 37, most of the class had already tapped out. Faces were turning purple. Her heart sank when even Kui Jianyuan, her star prospect, finally exhaled in defeat. The master's face turned thunderous as he stomped toward her. Panic set in. She started begging for a few more days to scout a real prodigy. But shockingly, he didn't even look at her. He ordered her to shut up. Someone was still holding on. He froze right in front of Jing. That's when reality hit Jing hard. This breathing technique sounded easy, but it was actually brutal. Oxygen flooded his system like a tidal wave. Without insane lung capacity, you wouldn't even survive the warm-up. Inside him, true chi was expanding aggressively, swelling up like a balloon ready to burst. Time was up. Jing finally let out a long, controlled exhale. A notification popped. Skill-activated inner force. It was already at 69 out of 200. He opened his eyes, only to find the master and the girl looming over him. They started grilling him. How did he feel? Did anything hurt? He kept it real. Hurt? Nah. He felt absolutely electrified. The receptionist scrambled to ask for his name, and was just about to recruit him to the dojo when crash. The glass window shattered into a million pieces. Something massive burst in. A giant, mutated flying insect, and in a split second, it decapitated a student. The room froze. Brains couldn't even process the nightmare unfolding in front of them. The master snapped out of it first. He ripped the door open, screaming for everyone to run. He barked at Young, the staff girl, to help evacuate the students. Blood mist filled the air. The monster locked its gaze onto her. Jing didn't blink. He launched himself forward to intercept. He tackled her, and they crashed to the floor. Pinned underneath him, she felt a weird sense of relief and maybe a little thrill. Honestly, she wouldn't mind staying pinned under our boy forever. Jing's charm dinged plus 20 points. But right then, a memory from Yu Gang flashed in his mind. Inner force isn't just breathing. It's gathering energy from every cell and blasting it out in one go. Time to test the theory. Jing committed. As the beetle monster screeched and charged, he drove a fist straight into its head. The impact sent a shockwave of wind rippling out. Jing prayed this thing didn't have cockroach durability, you know, the kind that survives nukes. If it was a tank, raw power was useless. He needed to condense everything into a single, piercing point. He adjusted his grip instantly. His next strike cracked the exoskeleton wide open. System alert. Inch force activated, hitting 80 out of 200. The beast went flying backward, screeching in pain as its blood painted the walls. Jing realized something crucial. It looked like a nightmare demon, but it was actually made of glass. Young lay there, staring at him in total disbelief. The master's face twisted in panic. Jing barely understood chi force, yet he just unloaded a nuclear amount of energy in a single burst. No rookie physique could survive that kind of backlash. Across the room, the creature regained its footing, letting out a guttural, enraged screech. Jing saw the bloodlust in its eyes. He didn't flinch, cold as ice, telling the beast the ending would be the same no matter how many rounds they went. Power flooded his meridians, pooling into his arm like liquid fire. Then, the agony hit. His lungs seized. A violent cough forced crimson to splatter from his lips. Something was broken inside him, and the beast was charging. Jing knew instantly he'd redlined his limits. Pure adrenaline spiked as the monstrosity closed the gap. Suddenly, a blur of motion. One strike. The creature was bisected cleanly in two. Jing stood paralyzed, mind reeling. From the shadows, a woman emerged to claim the kill. White Raven Squad, captain of Unit 838. Codename, Voidblade. Her crew locked down the zone, ordering civilians to clear out instantly. White Raven Squad? The name was totally alien to Jing. But one-shotting that insectoid nightmare? That meant these guys were on a terrifyingly different power level. Voidblade sized Jing up. He looked maybe 17, 18 tops, yet he'd absolutely wrecked that beast. Barehanded too. Plus, She couldn't help noticing he was pretty easy on the eyes. Her mind started spinning. She needed an excuse to recruit him. She slid him a slip of paper. Sunday, 5 p.m. Be there. She guaranteed answers if he showed up. Jing took the note. The location? Qingcheng Library. 7th floor. Outside, Jiang rushed the exit, frantic to check on him. She was all over him, insisting on dragging him back to her place. Wait, she caught herself mid-sentence. She meant the hospital. Definitely the hospital. Jing waved it off, claiming he was solid. He just thanked her for the dojo access. As he walked away, she shouted for him to return tomorrow. But behind her, the master silently shook his head. A kid tapping into that much raw power on his first try? That wasn't normal. Their tiny gym was way too small to contain a monster like him. Meanwhile, Jing's system started pinging like crazy. Fitness XP, plus 29. Health preservation, plus 89. Charm, plus 50. Fighting XP spiked by 98, pushing his total to 166 out of 300. Condition met. Inch force unlocked. The concept was deceptively simple. Focus all chi into a singularity, then blast it at max velocity over zero distance. Master it, and you could obliterate the ultimate defense. Jing wanted another taste of that power. He tried to fire it up and instantly gagged, a wave of nausea hitting him. He recalled the master's warning about chi burnout. Better not push his luck and die young. He needed sleep. He'd assess the damage tomorrow. But with the white ravens and that creepy bug monster on his mind, he couldn't help wondering what else this city was hiding. He made the call. He was definitely checking out that address this weekend. Back at his apartment, a light glowed from the window. He checked the surveillance app. It was the cat. She was posted up right in front of his PC. The second Jing walked in and spoke, the furball nearly jumped out of its skin. He grilled her on why she was hacking his rig. Caught red-handed, she tried to act innocent, which just ticked him off. She wasn't talking, and he was too tired to argue. He'd deal with her later. He crashed onto the bed. The cat cocked her head. Something was off. The metallic scent of blood. Had he been scrapping? The thought made her fur bristle. He was her human. Who dared to touch her property? She pounced on his chest, demanding answers. She told him to spill the tea right now. Didn't matter who the culprit was. She, Ning Fengna, Dragon Sect leader, would absolutely wreck them. Jing just looked at her, calm as ever. So, you can talk. He admitted he always knew she was human, but he was dead on his feet. Rain check on the conversation. And boom, lights out. Fengna was left screaming at him to wake up and explain himself. Next morning, Jing was back to 100%. They talked shop over food. Turns out, nobody beat him up. He actually soloed a monster. Jing nodded, confirming the win. She frowned deeply. Monsters invading the city? That was news to her. Jing reached out and ruffled her fur. He thanked her for having his back. Hearing her real name made her turn bright red. She quickly tried to act tough again, snapping back at him. No more casual chit-chat. He had to show some deference and address her properly as the sect leader. She snapped back, demanding the title Lord Na. Jing rolled with it. But since she found her voice, it was time to address the elephant in the room. He needed answers about that video file she was digging into on his PC. Her eyes nearly popped out of her head. She froze, cold sweat dripping down her neck. That accessory clamped to Feng Na's tail? It was a cat tail ring, a legendary god relic. She'd been Googling it. Jing reached out and gave the tail a curious poke. She let out a high-pitched shriek. 287 years ago, the Almighty bit the dust. Legend says the golden sparkles left behind became god relics. He'd only heard the myths, but seeing the real deal, watching it literally suck up divinity, that was a reality check. She glared, asking if he planned to pinch her tail all day. Caught off guard, he awkwardly yanked his hand back. He asked if she was looking for a user manual. Use it? She scoffed. She wanted this cursed thing off her body immediately. She dropped the lore. The Dragon Sect was the apex predator in Qingcheng. They didn't just run showbiz, they owned the streets. They partnered with martial arts halls to push product hard drugs, but they grew too big, too fast, and painted a target on their backs. Ambushed in her own mansion, someone slapped this artifact on her, and poof, she's a feline. She barely clawed her way out alive, but the Dragon Sect was gone, seized by usurpers. The only way to regain her human form was to shatter the ring, and she wanted the people who did this 6 feet under. So, Jing asked, what's the play? If the internet was a dead end, the library wouldn't be any better. But don't worry, she had a master plan, locked and loaded. The mission? Jing needs to grind, train in martial arts, get swole. He was confused. How does him punching stuff help remove her ring? She broke it down. Once he becomes a powerhouse, the big sharks will circle. One of them is bound to hold a god relic. Follow the breadcrumbs, network with the elites, and they find the removal method. Simple. A wide grin spread across his face. He liked the idea of trouble coming straight to his doorstep. She was sending him to the best school in town. Ever heard of Hidden Dragon Dojo? He nodded. Back when he was window shopping for dojos, he checked the rates in Qingcheng. Hidden Dragon was the most expensive ripoff on the list. But the price wasn't the memorable part. It was the review section absolute trash. 1-star ratings everywhere. She sneered. Ignore the haters. Those reviews came from weaklings who couldn't handle the heat and washed out. Real fighters knew the deal. Hidden Dragon was the peak. Okay, he asked. How do I sign up? Easy, she said. Follow the code of the Jianghu. Storm the dojo. He stared at her, jaw on the floor. You want me to trash the place and expect a welcome mat? She looked at him like he was brain dead. Dojo storming is just an aggressive job interview. Look, disciples have ranks. Rich kids pay to play. But even if they try hard, 0 talent means 0 results. Then you got the talented ones with no grit. If it takes 10 years to get good, you're wasting time. In the martial arts game, mindset is king. You need an invincible spirit to throw an invincible punch. Storming the gates proves you've got the guts. It's the ultimate resume. Go tomorrow, she ordered. She had her own prep work to finish. The next morning, a greeter met Jing at the Hidden Dragon gates. They went for a handshake. Suddenly, the guy clamped down hard. Jing felt the squeeze. Oh, so it's a test? Fine. Challenge accepted. He crushed the guy's hand with 0 hesitation. The greeter screamed, wailing that his bones were about to snap. A crowd of students swarmed them, bursting into laughter. Chill, bro. Don't take it personal. Turns out, that guy was just a combat junkie who challenged anything with a pulse and lost every single time. The dude turned beet red as his classmates roasted him. Jing realized the awkward truth. He just broke a random guy's hand for no reason. Suddenly, the sea of students parted. The boss was here. The old dojo master rolled in, flanked by his elite inner circle. The students were shook. The old master never came out. And the direct disciples? They were practically ghosts. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Is the dojo closing? Is this the end? The legend himself, Meng Boshang, sat before them. He was wheelchair-bound. A sleek black cat perched beside him. Pushing the chair was the petite Zhu Shanyin. To the left, the green-haired Chen Fuguang. On the right, the towering giant Li Qi. Bringing up the rear was Meng Qingzhao. Jing froze. He spotted the cat, Feng Na, made it in. The master raised a hand, and the place went dead silent. He locked eyes with Jing. So, kid, you here to crash my dojo? Feng Na shoots a playful wink at Jing. Our main character catches it, casually noting, not bad. The old master bursts into laughter. It had been ages since anyone had the guts to crash his dojo. He stares Jing down. You think you've got what it takes? Jing keeps it 100. If you're asking me like that, I honestly have no clue. But from where I'm standing, the combat level here looks pretty mid. Boshan decides to grill him. First up, name? Check. Age? 17. But then the questions keep coming. The longer this drags on, the more Jing starts sweating. This vibe is getting weird. It stops feeling like a job interview and starts feeling way too much like a marriage proposal. The dojo master laughs it off. Relax, kid. It's standard procedure to grill a future son-in-law. Jing leans in, whispering to Feng Na, Yo, what is actually happening right now? She whispers back, Don't look at me, I'm just as lost. Suddenly, Shan Yin steps up. Grandfather, she declares, qualified or not, he has to catch these hands first. She locks eyes with Jing and smirks. Don't worry, I'll go easy on you, rookie. Jing nods, he's locked in. The disciples are losing their minds. Their legendary senior sister is fighting personally? In their eyes, this new kid is already dead meat. Feng Na puffs out her cheeks, annoyed. We're really fighting? This already turned into a bachelor auction. Shan Yin warns him. Watch yourself. Feng Na's heart skips a beat. A red target marker locks on. Shan Yin swings, but Jing reads it like a book. He dodges, snatches her wrist, and slams her into the ground. The impact leaves her seeing stars. Fu Guang's eyes narrow. That dynamic vision, that grappling stance. It's terrifyingly precise. Moves exactly like I did in my prime. Boshan is absolutely glowing. He praises Feng Na. You really found a diamond for this old man. Feng Na flips her hair, naturally. Even though she was low-key panicking 5 seconds ago, Jing turns to the master. So, did I pass the raid? Ding. System notification. You survived a battle where the weak crushed the strong. Gains. Fighting XP plus 21. Fitness XP plus 121. Health XP plus 89. Aiming XP plus 56. Sports XP plus 139. And Charm plus 50. The master makes the call. You dropped Shan Yin with 0 formal training? You're not just qualified, you're unquestionably a direct disciple. And it's about time you fix how you address us. Jing cracks a smile. Greetings, master. Greetings, seniors. Fu Guang nods. Welcome to the family. Number 7. Shan Yin is blushing hard. She introduces herself properly, admitting, My bad. I totally underestimated you. But don't get cocky over one win. Turns out, she was the baby of the group, the youngest prodigy, until Jing showed up. He thanks her for the lesson, and she just scoffs. Classic tsundere vibes. Suddenly, a lady approaches. Right this way, young master Shuai. Let's handle your paperwork. Jing pauses. Young master, who? Boshan explains, direct disciples are VIPs. Disrespecting you isn't an option around here. From now on, you're inner circle royalty. Young master is just the bare minimum. Jing winces. Can we change that? It's super cringe. She suggests, how about Master Jing? Jing sighs, fine, I'll take it. Cut to the lounge. Jing's on the sofa, with Fengna using his lap as a pillow. He tells her, honestly, crashing the dojo wasn't the nightmare you hyped it up to be. I mean, Shan Yin folded in one move. Fengna shakes her head. Don't get it twisted. She's way stronger than you. Martial arts isn't just math. Mindset, condition, IQ, decision-making, and straight-up luck decide the winner. Jing thinks about it. Yeah, she definitely let her guard down. Fengna nods. If that girl played it safe and waited for you to engage, you'd be toast. But hey, a dub is a dub. Scoreboard doesn't lie. Jing admits, yeah, RNG carried me today. Gotta train harder. Then he asks, where were you last night anyway? Did you crash here? Fengna replies, to get you in, I had to go butter up Grandpa Li. Jing asks, why do you call him that? She casually drops a bomb. Oh, he almost cuckolded my grandfather back in the day. Jing freezes. Wait, so he was basically the side piece? A staff member interrupts, handing Jing his new ID card. Starting tomorrow, just swipe this at the gate for VIP access. Jing thanks her. System, plus 20 charm. The next morning, the rumors are wild. The new kid trained all night? Everyone's talking about Jing. They're absolutely shook by his power level. System alerts flooded his vision. Plus 234 XP, plus 133 health preservation, and plus 79 sports XP. Another notification flashed. Plus 89 inner force XP. Boom, inner force hit level 2. His favorability rating was skyrocketing too. Charm stats spiked by 35. But in reality, Boshang was running a torture session. Jing was locked in a squat that burned like hellfire. The old master barked at him to hold the line. The pain paid off. Inner force experience ticked up by another 99 points. Grind it out, Boshang shouted. Don't you dare waste the work you've already put in. The notifications didn't stop all night. Plus 99 inner force XP. Over and over, like a slot machine jackpot. Then, the golden alert. Inner force reached level 3. The second the session ended, Jing's legs gave out. He hit the floor hard, landing right on his ass. He was totally spent. Boshang looked down at him, shaking his head in sheer disbelief. Of every disciple he'd ever trained, Jing was in a league of his own. The kid was ready for the hidden dragon sect's secret arts way sooner than expected. Jing was gasping for air on the floor tiles. But the second those words hit his ears, he snapped back upright like a machine. What level do I need? He demanded. Boshang stared him down, realizing this kid wasn't just dedicated, he was a martial arts junkie. Give me your hand, Boshang ordered. Jing braced himself for another spar, but the master didn't strike. Instead, he unleashed a terrifying aura. The master's eyes glowed crimson. A massive wave of true chi surged into Jing's veins, alien, powerful, and completely overwhelming. He couldn't fight it. Boshang asked about his athletic background. Jing, barely holding it together, mumbled that he mostly just ran. That, and not much else. Sweating bullets. Jing asked if the scan found something broken inside him. Boshang shook his head. Broken? No. It was the opposite. Jing's physiology was terrifyingly flawless. Muscle fibers, bone density, organ placement, it was all perfectly balanced. Like a deity with OCD had sculpted him from scratch. Simply put, a 1 in a billion prodigy. Jing kept his poker face, but he knew the truth. It wasn't talent, it was the system panel. Activating the fighting skill had optimized his biology. So yeah, technically, he was a manufactured genius. Can I start the cultivation method now? Jing pressed. Boshang frowned. What's the rush, kid? You've been grinding all night. Your body is wrecked. Starting cultivation now isn't training, it's a suicide mission. So, what now? Jing asked. Boshang pointed to the exit. Go to the lounge. I'm sending over some sleeping dragon ointment. Rest. Later that night, a knock rattled Jing's door. It was Shan Ying. She wasn't there to fight. She was holding the medkit. Jing tensed up. Why her? Was this a trap? A little payback? Shan Ying just pointed at him. Shirt off. He complied. The moment he stripped, Shan Ying's eyes widened. The guy was way more shredded than she expected. Her reaction gave his ego a little boost. Lie down, she commanded. Ding. System alert. Charm increased by 45. Behave yourself. Don't move, she ordered. her tone strict, as she started working the ointment into his skin. Wait, Jing stammered. He couldn't read her. What was her angle here? Her movements were slow, almost playful. She leaned in close, spreading the cool gel across his chest with agonizing deliberation. You know, she whispered, hovering over him. I'm actually pretty competitive. Jing's face started burning. She was right on top of him, but his mental discipline held strong. Barely. Why so quiet? She teased. Jing kept his voice flat. I'm cool if you're cool. She paused. Losing to you? That was my mistake. I got sloppy, but I'm still not happy about it. So I figured I'd mess with you a little bit. Ding, another 45 points to charm. She was definitely enjoying this. Don't be mad at me, okay? She cooed. Jing's charm stats were blowing up, but his face remained a stone mask. I'm not mad, he gritted out, just in pain. It's whatever, she smirked. Upper body is done. Now for the pants. She reached for his waistband. Jing's reflexes kicked in. He snatched her wrist instantly. I'll handle that, he said, panic finally cracking his voice. She giggled, pulling back. Relax. I'm just messing with you. You're fun to rattle. She tossed him the jar. Finish it yourself. With a wink, she turned on her heel and walked out. Alone again, he dropped into the hibernating dragon stance. The grind never stops. Fitness experience jumped by 98. System windows popped up like crazy. Later, walking down the street, Jing felt like his entire body had been put through a meat grinder. Terrifying, he muttered. That woman had almost dismantled him mentally and physically. Ding! Level up notification. Fighting level hit 3. Inner force hit 4. A grin finally broke across Jing's face. The pain was worth the gains. With free time before his appointment, he steered toward the library. As he walked, a thought crossed his mind. White Raven Squad, he whispered to himself. Man, that sounds like some edgy anime protagonist stuff. This was Ching Cheng's elite special ops we're talking about, so why the heck did they set the rendezvous point in a public library? Totally didn't vibe with their usual MO. Jing pulls up to the Ching Cheng library and hits the 7th floor, but instead of bookworms, he's greeted by dead silence. The whole place is a ghost town. For a split second, he thinks he's getting pranked. Then, a voice cuts through the quiet. He spins around, and boom, a tall stunner with flowing blonde hair steps out of the shadows. She introduces herself as Wu Yu Qing. That's you, like in childish Yuji, and Qing from a sunny Qing Tian day. Specific, right? Jing cuts to the chase. Where's Voidblade? And seriously, why the library? She drops the intel. She's Voidblade's informant, and since this little chat is off the books, the police station was a no-go zone. She admits she was kinda sus at first, but seeing him in the flesh changed her mind. She gives him the green light time to squat up. Jing's like, on what grounds? She stays cool as a cucumber and drops a bomb. She knows he's hunting for god relics. Dude freezes up instantly. That reaction? Total confirmation. She smirks, asking how he even found out about the whole god relic rabbit hole. He dodges the question, totally pivoting. Now, he's the one curious. Who is this mystery woman, and what's her deal? She says it's chill if he wants to stay quiet. Admits she should have briefed him first. Then, she casually pours him a cup of tea. He takes a sip. Tastes like nothing. Just plain water. She takes the cup back and dumps the rest right into the pot. Next thing you know, she pours him another cup and tells him to try again. Jing is confused. It literally looks exactly the same. He can't figure out her angle here, but he drinks it anyway and halts. The water is straight up sweet now. She breaks it down calmly. 287 years ago, God died. Well, specifically, a deity kicked the bucket. When that deity perished, it shattered into countless lights across the globe. They call those fragments God's blood, and this stuff landed on everything objects, living creatures, and even things birthed from pure human imagination. Anything hit by that divine juice became a relic, and the item right in front of him, 100% the real deal. Serial number God-1567, the Sweetwater Kettle. Jing leans in, needing a closer look at this magic teapot. Part of him thinks she's just pranking him with sugar, but she hands the kettle over. Boom, his system goes wild, detecting a divine substance instantly. His divinity starts spiking +5, on repeat. His stats hit 500, 2 out of 500. Confirmed. This is legit. He can farm divinity just by touching these things? That's insane. His active skill is fully locked and loaded. Jing is absolutely floored. He asks what this thing actually does. Does it sweeten water magically? Spawn boiling water from nothing? While he's talking, his divinity keeps climbing just because he's holding the loot. Turns out, his guess was pretty close to the mark. She giggles, clearly thinking he's a total rookie who hasn't seen the world yet. Weirdly enough, she finds that kind of cute. Jing notices the water level isn't dropping at all. Infinite refill glitch? She looks impressed that he's actually using his brain cells. Notifications for +5 divinity keep spamming his vision. He stops counting the second he realizes he can finally trigger the skill. Since he's a top-tier student at Chingchong High, she figures he's smart enough to connect the dots. He mulls it over, staring down at that sweet water kettle again. A perpetual motion machine. We're talking about something that breaks the fundamental laws of physics. He starts wondering if the infinite electricity powering the inner ring is tied to hacked items like this. She tells him not to fry his brain over it. God relics are illogical by nature, stuff no human tech could ever replicate. He asks the million-dollar question, why is she spilling all these secrets to him? Reason is, 3 days ago, he soloed a monster while stuck in a normie's body. Even facing that terrifying, unknown nightmare, he didn't flinch, zero fear. She hands him a business card, Wu's God Relic Containment and Research Company Limited. She's the CEO herself. Turns out, they're the main gear suppliers for the White Raven squad too. Spiritually speaking, he's already leveled up past the average Joe. That's why she wants him to sign the contract for Wu's God Relic Containment Company. And since our boy gets to farm divinity on the job, he's hype about joining the squad. He promises to follow orders. But let's be real to him. This isn't just a 9 to 5. It's a god-tier XP farm he absolutely needs access to. And honestly, I love it when protagonists actually have a brain. The God Relic Containment Company sounds like paradise where he's surrounded by relics 24/7. Just thinking about the gains has him buzzing. Rich and powerful, that's a lethal combo. Right now, relics are the only way to grind for divinity. The passive skill, Twin Life, is already totally broken. If the active skill turns out to be even more OP, then literally no one on the server can touch him. The thought makes him burst out laughing. Yujing was totally zoning out, lost in his own little world. She slapped a file on the table to snap him back to reality. She slid the paperwork across the desk. Give it a read. If you're cool with the terms, sign on the dotted line. He skimmed through the pages. It looked like your average 9 to 5 agreement, except for one glaring addition, an NDA, plus a clause explicitly stating the gig involved a high-risk special sector. Dealing with God relics meant putting his life on the line. We're talking permanent disability or straight-up death while on the clock. The company promised a $5 million payout to his family for medical and funeral costs. But there was a catch. If he messed up due to intentional actions or gross negligence, zero compensation. That fine print screamed, death trap. She broke it down for him. God relics come in 4 tiers. Grade D is harmless. Grade C is dangerous. Grade B, highly lethal. And Grade A is a nightmare scenario. He'd only touch the scary stuff if he leveled up his skills enough. He opened his mouth to ask about the Grade A relics, but she cut him off. Don't even worry about that yet. A relic with that kind of power wasn't a one-man job. Heck, even a corporation couldn't handle it. When an A grade pops up, the feds and special ops take over. He leaned back. Why me? Just touching a god relic once didn't make him special. As far as he knew, she was clueless about his system panel and his martial arts skills. Was this just because Voidblade vouched for him? No way she'd hire him on a whim. Something felt sketchy. She smirked, seemingly reading his mind. You've got one detail wrong. You didn't find the god relic. The god relic found you. He frowned. Say what? God relics have a will of their own. They hunt for specific hosts, and some humans are just magnets for them. She tapped her chest. She was one of those magnets, and she knew Yujing was built exactly the same way. That rare trait was the real reason she was throwing that insane salary at him. It was an investment. He glanced at the figures again. A monthly base pay of 200,000. Plus, bagging a god relic meant a 25% cut of the project and 1% stackable equity. Cha-ching, Jing finally realized his market value. No wonder they were desperate to lock him down. Money's not the main thing, he lied smoothly. I just really like god relics. He scribbled his signature. He slid the document back. I'm in your hands now, boss. She flashed a rare smile. Glad to have you on board. If we're done here, I'm out. He waved and walked off. But mentally, he was freaking out. Between the Hidden Dragon Dojo and hunting relics, his schedule was cooked. He seriously doubted he'd see the inside of a classroom anytime soon. He whipped out his phone and texted G. Tell Teach I'm dying in bed. Need sick leave as soon as possible. G hit back instantly. Got you covered. Honestly, with 200 grand a month, he was making more now than he would in a decade post-graduation. School didn't matter. His mission was simple. Get stronger, fast. That was the only way he'd ever return to his old life. Walking through the outer ring, he decided it was time to test his new toy. System, open. The holographic panel flickered to life. Divinity needed to upgrade Twin Life Level 1, 502 out of 100. The passive was insane, 2 lives. If he bit the dust, he could choose when to respawn within 7 days. The only downside was the 3-month cooldown, but the active skill? That bad boy was finally unlocked. He had the points. The system prompted, activate Twin Life? He mentally smashed that yes button. Here's the kicker. For every level, he could buff one specific physical stat. Activation meant doubling that stat instantly. The menu rolled out: memory, defense, strength, reflexes, speed, calculation, concentration. It was a literal cheat code. Basically, if he picked strength, he'd turn into the Hulk while the skill was active. Defense was out, he already had resurrection armor and his body was built like a tank. Strength wasn't his vibe either. He was a precision fighter, not a brawler. Then, an old martial arts maxim popped into his head. In the world of Kung Fu, speed is king. He selected speed. But first, he needed a baseline test. Can't know how fast you are without a stopwatch. He eyed a street lamp about 100 meters down the road. Control run first, he muttered. He crouched, took a breath, and bolted. Clock stopped at 10.24 seconds. Decent, but not Olympic level. He turned around, activated the skill, and prepared to sprint back. He exploded off the line. The world blurred. This was a whole different level of speed. Nothing but a neon blur trailing in his wake. 5.12 seconds, literally slashing his previous time in half. It finally clicked. Twin Life wasn't just a flashy gimmick. This was a game changer. For your average Joe, shaving a 100-meter sprint from 20 seconds down to 12 is doable with enough grind. But once you hit that elite tier, shaving off even 0.1 seconds takes a mountain of blood, sweat, and tears. Without god-tier genetics and infinite resources, it's basically a pipe dream. But imagine a high-stakes deathmatch, where a single frame of lag means game over. Triggering this skill unleashes acceleration that spits in the face of physics. That's a guaranteed one-hit kill. He was beyond hyped with Twin Life. It bypassed natural laws, essentially a divine cheat code that broke the server rules. Adrenaline still pumping, he wanted to run it back a few more times. But then, a nasty surprise. The skill icon was grayed out, cooldown active. He'd only been God mode for 20 seconds. He realized he'd have to be strategic with this ace in the hole. No clue on the respawn timer, either. Calling it a day, he headed home. After the daily grind, his muscles were screaming. Plan A was to hit the shower, then pass out for a solid recovery sleep. He still had the dojo grind tomorrow. Suddenly, his vision just cut to black. Next thing he knew, he was waking up on the concrete outside his door, phone blowing up. He'd blacked out for 6 hours straight. Total mystery why he face-planted in the hallway. First instinct? Check Twin Life status. Boom bar was almost full. He crunched the numbers immediately. 1 second of Twin Life glory. Cost 1,000 seconds of recharge time. Maxing out the gauge meant a 6-hour penalty box. Just then, a text from Shan Yin popped up. Where are you? Reality hit him. He was insanely late. He scrambled, sprinting all the way to the Hidden Dragon dojo and practically kicking the door off its hinges. Shan Yin was mid-stretch with a student. She clocked him instantly, rushing over. Perfect timing. You're up. She dragged him center stage, announcing a live sparring session to demo Jin force mechanics. The class started murmuring, taking bets. One guy was all in on Shan Yin. In his head, her last loss was just a fluke because she got cocky. Jing was still a newbie. No shot he wins twice. Some students just hoped she wouldn't snap him in half. Jing knew the score though. This wasn't a demo. This was a grudge match. She was desperate to scrub that L from her record. She wouldn't underestimate him this time. But honestly, he didn't care. This was the ultimate stress test for his new buff. Asking for guidance, he triggered Twin Life, level 1. She launched a palm strike, but he just glitched out of existence. A split second later, he caught her arm and slammed her into the mat. The impact rattled her brain. She couldn't process the loss, especially since she wasn't holding back this time. He coolly told her she practically gave him the W, plus 97, fighting XP, plus 81 fitness XP, plus 49 health preservation XP. The notifications kept scrolling, aiming XP up by 26. Sports XP surged by 69, leveling the skill up to tier 2. 9 out of 500 progress. Then, the epiphany hit. This wasn't an underdog story anymore. With Twin Life active, the system didn't rank him below Shan Yin. She had the veteran experience. And her guard was fully up, yet she was moving in slow motion compared to him. That's when it sank in. His power level was officially terrifying. The new meta? Mastering this insane speed gap. A bit later, Fu Guang flagged him down, asking if he wanted to duo train the hibernating dragon technique. He accepted the invite from his 5th senior brother. Moments later, Fu Guang was staring in total shock. He thought the rumors about Jing mastering the technique in a single night were just hype. But looking at him now, the kid was practically radiating dragon chi. It took Fu Guang ages to even last 30 minutes back in the day. The gap in talent was actually offensive. Still, he dropped some major lore. In the martial world, there's this legendary endgame build called the Treasure Body. It's about refining your avatar into a living weapon. Achieve that, and you unlock 5 perfections. Muscles that house dragons and elephants, tendons like coiled iron, skin like glazed glass, bones of indestructible jade, and blood like molten gold. Muscles holding dragons and elephants wasn't poetic fluff, it meant raw power so dense it felt like mythical beasts living under your skin. Iron tree coiling tendons? Think tendons forged from steel roots. Absolutely untearable. Skin blooming glazed glass described an exterior so flawless and diamond hard, it was basically indestructible. Jade bones? That's skeletal structure refined into immortal stone that simply cannot snap. And blood-dripping molten gold painted a picture of a warrior's blood, literally boiling like volcanic magma when their chi flared up. Fu Guang waved it off as a bedtime story. Nobody actually pulls that off. But Jing, he wasn't buying the doubt. Just because the rest of the world failed didn't mean he would. That skepticism just lit a fire in his gut. He didn't just want to learn martial arts. He wanted to be the myth. Crash. The window exploded inward. Fu Guang nearly jumped out of his skin. Shards of glass rained down as he scrambled to introduce the intruder. Meet Bo Shang, the dojo's eldest senior brother and absolute strongest fighter. Guy came with some serious baggage, though. The system pinged Jing with the T. The guy hates talking, is a total gym rat, avoids drama, and thinks brute force solves everything. He's also a total simp for his wife and refuses to use actual doors. Fu Guang whispered that Bo Shang strictly prefers the smashing through windows entrance. Jing stared at the jagged hole in the wall, jaw on the floor. This guy had launched himself from the street all the way to the top floor. Jing's brain couldn't even compute the sheer raw power needed for a vertical leap like that. Fu Guang nervously asked if Bo Shang needed him. The big guy just waved a hand universal sign language for "I'm good," and Fu Guang got the message loud and clear. Fu Guang told Jing he had business to handle and was dipping out. But he dropped one golden nugget of advice before bailing. The secret sauce of the hibernating dragon technique is force delivery and shaping. Then, naturally, he dove right out the window too. That's when the light bulb went off. Jing realized he'd been obsessing over the amount of chi he had. He totally ignored the shape of it. Idea locked in, he started fusing this concept with his targeting skills. 3 hours passed. He inhaled sharp, meditating until the veins on his forehead looked ready to burst. Snap. He flicked a finger, and a shockwave rippled out, detonating the air in front of him. Okay, that was way cooler than flicking pebbles. Suddenly, a slow, rhythmic clapping echoed from the doorway. Enter the dojo master. He knew Jing was a physical beast, but he didn't expect this level of combat genius. He tossed a pill to Jing and ordered him to down it. Jing caught it, and with zero fear, popped it straight into his mouth. The master told him to lock eyes. Then, reality glitched. Jing felt like he was drifting into a void. Direction, location, it all dissolved into whatever the master was doing to him. The pill ignited in his gut, morphing into a golden dragon. Jing's internal alarm bells started ringing. The beast cracked its eyes open. Pure gold light flooded Jing's vision. Then he saw the transformation. Shimmering scales started plating his right arm. A splitting headache hit him as his own chi went chaotic, scrambling everywhere. Was the pill doing this? He gasped, fighting to wrestle his energy back under control. He triggered the hibernating dragon technique, holding his breath. Deep in his mind, a wave of euphoria hit. At the exact same moment, every intrusive thought he had surfaced. The dragon loomed right in his face. He stayed locked in, and the dragon coiled around his soul. A blinding golden flash wiped out everything else. Fusion complete. His body morphed, encased in dragon scales, his pupils slitting into reptilian vertical lines. Conditions met. Skill unlocked. Visualization. Level 1. 0 out of 300 XP. He snapped his eyes open, stunned to be back in his own sweaty, human body. The master warned him that, if he'd stayed under any longer, his chi would have been drained dry. He called it insane. That Jing manifested dragon chi on his first attempt. The guy was genuinely shook. Jing blinked, asking what dragon chi actually was. The master broke it down. Dragon chi is raw emotion, like when someone sees red, and hits with hysterical strength. In a life-or-death fight, adrenaline turns the body into a nuclear reactor. In their style, weaponizing that rage is chi of motion. Controlling it, that's chi of stillness. Master both, and you're basically unstoppable. Jing asked for the training manual on that. The master smirked, noting Jing already had the vibe, but told him to figure the rest out himself. Jing wondered if he meant clearing the mind. He tried it. Instantly, his brain turned into a supercomputer, recalling every detail from his previous life. He could literally see a calculus problem from his college entrance exams in 4K resolution. It had been ages since he actually hit the books, but suddenly, everything clicked. It was like a floodgate opened in his brain, bringing long-buried knowledge to the surface. It hit him hard. He wasn't just learning, he was evolving. The master kept his cool though, dropping a bombshell. Kid, you're barely scratching the surface. Jing realized the mundane stuff didn't trigger him anymore. Total emotional flatline. But simultaneously, his mind's eye was on steroids. He could conjure up a colossal dragon right there in his headspace, clear as 4K resolution. Every individual scale, every golden strand of its mane, it was hyper-realistic. That's when the light bulb went on. This was the end game of visualization mastery. Talk is cheap, the master cut in. You want real power? You bleed for it, he signaled Qingjiao. It was sparring time. She was visibly stuffing her face with bread, crumbs practically decorating her cheeks. The master didn't miss a beat, explaining that when it came to kinetic control, Qingjiao was the apex predator of the dojo. Even her old man, Qi, couldn't touch her level. Jing's curiosity spiked. Who was the real beast, her or the sixth senior sister? Qingjiao dropped the snack and shifted into a battle stance. Jing lunged, or thought he did. Before his brain could send the signal, he was already eating dirt. He froze, totally shook. The master chuckled, noting that Jing was broadcasting his moves like a billboard. He couldn't wrap his head around it. Was she seriously overpowering his golden finger cheat? He scrambled up, eyes burning with zero-chill determination. He charged. Bam. Hit again. Dirty tricks. Cheap shots. None of it mattered in the dojo. History is written by the standing. The losers eat the floor. She delivered a savage kick, sending him flying like a rag doll. Spitting blood, Jing refused to tap out. He wanted more. They kept at it until the sun started bleeding into the horizon. But Jing wasn't quitting. Finally, he slipped past a haymaker and connected a solid strike right to her chest. The force actually knocked her back a step. But Jing? He was paralyzed by the weird sensation lingering on his palm. The master blurred into motion, catching Qingjiao before she could become wall art. That's a wrap, he declared. Her stomach was probably roaring louder than her fists by now. Pointless to go on. He waved her off to go refuel. Jing had to ask what was up with the fourth senior sister's silence. The master's expression darkened. Childhood trauma, he hinted. But that was a story for another day. The master shifted gears. So, kid, how's the body? Training paying off? I'm wrecked, Jing admitted. Suddenly, the system pinged. Fitness stats, 827 out of 2,000. Health preservation, 468 out of 800. Running, 699 out of 2,000. He'd never felt this drained in his life, but weirdly, he'd never been this euphoric. More numbers rolled in. Charm sitting at 66 out of 1,200. Aiming, 567 out of 800. Fighting skill, 520 out of 800. Sports, 217 out of 1,200. And visualization, 251 out of 300. It dawned on him, fourth senior sister was an absolute monster. 4 hours in the ring with her gave him a massive XP dump. That sealed it. He was going to stick to her like glue from now on. Shame be damned. He headed back to the crib, fried chicken in hand for Fengna. But the place was empty. It was getting late, and panic started to creep in. Where was she? Then, a weird noise echoed from the bathroom. Jing paused. No extra shoes at the door, so no guests. Was she in there alone? His mind went to the darkest scenario. Did someone lock her in? She did mention she had a target on her back. Adrenaline spiked. He kicked the door open and immediately regretted it. She was just chilling in the tub. She freaked out, splashing water like a tidal wave. Chill, he shouted, blocking the spray. We keep messing around, and this chicken is going to turn into a brick. Mentioning the food worked like magic. Her eyes sparkled. Somehow, the situation de-escalated into them sharing the bath. She settled on his lap while he scrubbed her fur. Between the promise of fried chicken and the spa treatment, her brain was turning to mush. Ding. System alert. Favorability surging. Charm increased by plus 89. Suddenly, the cattail ring started pulsing with light. She planted a paw on his chest. The glow went supernova, forcing Jing to squint. When the light faded and he opened his eyes, that paw was now a human hand. He completely froze. Fengna had morphed. She was human, well, mostly. The cat ears and tail were still there, but everything else? 100% girl. Realizing her state, she shrieked, jumping up. Don't look! Her tail whipped around his face like a blindfold. Hey, relax, he stamina checked her. You swear you're not peeking? She stammered. I swear. Just, let's get you out of the water so we can talk, okay? A weird jolt surged through her nerves. Jing noticed the flinch. What now? Nothing, she snapped, face burning red. Why is this happening now? She wailed. Jing's gears were turning. I think we accidentally hacked the system. We triggered the God Relic's transformation protocol. That shut her up. Then, the realization hit her. A second ago, she'd felt a spike of affection for him. Jing pieced it together. Wait, so a little bit of feelings, plus a bucket of fried chicken was the magic key? The unlock condition was absolutely absurd. And then she felt the ears on her head, razor-sharp fangs and a twitching tail, still present. Ugh. She was absolutely furious at the garbage abilities that wannabe deity left her with. She snapped at Jing, not to get it twisted. This was 100% a freak accident. But the words died in her throat. The atmosphere shifted. She froze, sensing his body's undeniable response. Jing let out a heavy sigh, trying to explain it away as pure biology, totally involuntary, zero control over it. But if she didn't get some distance right now, his restraint was going to snap. She bargained. She'd retract the tail, but his eyes had to stay glued shut. He agreed, waiting as she gingerly inched backward. Disaster struck, she lost her footing. Gravity slammed them together, creating a very compromising, skin-on-skin collision. She went full tomato red, her brain short-circuiting from the sensation. Jing's jaw clenched hard enough to crack a molar. Clinging to his last shred of sanity, he gritted out a warning. Move slowly. If she kept squirming, his willpower was going to crumble. Tears welled up as she swore she wasn't doing this on purpose. I know, he snapped, ordering her to scramble out before he lost the battle with his instincts. Because if she stayed another second, she wasn't walking out of there. That reality check terrified her. She bolted for the exit, slamming the door so hard it rattled the frame. Jing finally exhaled, tension draining from his shoulders. Only then did he risk opening his eyes. One cold shower, and an hour later, he emerged to find she'd poofed back into her fluffy feline form. She was totally stumped. Once her heart rate dropped, she'd auto-reverted. But now, the human transformation button was broken again. Nothing worked. Total glitch. Jing sat down next to the confused kitty, reaching out to give her some head scratches. Nope. She swerved his hand. He totally got it. Things were still weird. Changing the subject, he mentioned a contact who knew a ton about these divine artifacts. He'd hit them up tomorrow to troubleshoot her glitchy powers. There had to be a patch to get her human form stable. Her mind started racing next time she turned human. Payback was going to be sweet. Oh, she would make him suffer. A wicked cackle bubbled up inside her. Jing just shook his head. The next morning, thanks to a solid sleep schedule, his health preservation stat pinged. Plus 38. Boom, level 3 achieved. Progression, 3 out of 800. Beside him, Feng Nu was a tiny, curled-up furball. Watching her snooze so peacefully brought a smile to his face, but the vibe broke when his phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from Wu Yuqing. Urgent. Work available. Finally, Jing let out a breath of pure relief. The drought was over. He headed straight to Qingcheng Library, scanning the room for Wu Yuqing. She'd sounded desperate, but she was a ghost. The place was empty, except for some quiet girl in glasses reading in the corner. Then, it clicked. That four-eyed bookworm was Wu Yuqing. She looked totally different. She reached up, slid the frames off her nose, and that's when his visuals stabilized, but the resolution felt upgraded, crisper, sharper. She noted his mental intensity was spiking off the charts. She wasn't ready for him to lock onto her that fast, or for him to look that magnetic. Caught staring, she awkwardly cleared her throat. Jing flinched, cheeks burning, and snapped his gaze elsewhere. She dropped the intel. Those specs? They're a god relic. Serial number 1280, the unremarkable glasses. They nerf a person's presence, turning them into a background NPC. He asked if that was the only perk, but the second his fingers brushed the frame, the system screamed, divine substance detected. He was straight up draining divinity, and there's a kicker: rip those glasses off, and all that suppressed charisma detonates at once. The longer the charge, the blindinger the flash. It's like storing up a supernova behind a lens. Thank God, he hadn't morphed into a creepy old perv. It was just the gear. Relieved, he pivoted to the gig. She paused, gotta show, not tell. This was a C-rank containment run, way below his pay grade, but it was unique. The target. God Relic, 11,105. The villainess's crown of glory. It hacks the wearer's brain, jacking up primal thirst. Current host, Lu Huiying. Her trigger? Hot guys. She sees one, she goes full predator mode. Zero chill. He connected the dots. This setup was custom-tailored for him. She nodded. His base stats were already solid. Just wear the specs to charge up. The second he takes them off, boom. Lu Huiying's desire overload. She'll be paralyzed by the thirst. That creates the opening to snatch the crown and reboot her brain. Easy clap. The loot is all his. Jing's face twisted gross. A honey trap? But he couldn't deny the logic. It was practically made for his skill set. 2 god relics to drain safely? That's free XP. Plus, the glasses were a vibe. He imagined rocking them for 10 years, then dropping the disguise. He'd look absolutely majestic. He asked if these specs were from her personal stash. Nope, she replied. Loaners from another agency. Jing blinked. Wait, there are other containment squads? She froze. Oops, leaked classified info. Jing had assumed their agency was the only game in town, exclusive, mysterious, top tier. She waved off his fantasy. You've got the wrong idea. Relic containment isn't some elite club. Honestly, we're basically supernatural janitors. Jing grimaced. Okay, that's a depressing way to put it. She broke it down. Thousands of god relics exist, spawning randomly like glitches in the Matrix. One agency can't patch all those leaks. Plus, the mortality rate is gnarly. Jing asked the obvious question. So, we team up with these other crews? Hard no, she said. The state outsources the contracts. Some agencies are mercenaries, they'll do anything for a paycheck. If you see rivals, watch your back. Got it. He nodded, then smirked. Time for a field test. Before she could react, he whipped off the glasses. Her heart hammered. Face went tomato red. The system pinged. Charm increased by 19. Effect confirmed. Deadly effective. During the cab ride, he skimmed the dossier on Lu Huiying. Her turf was the Southern District neon lights, clubs, KTVs, the city's playground for the wicked, classic mob queen territory. The file said Lu Huiying had already staked her claim and dug in deep. Empowered by the crown's buffs, she even started a clique, the Rose Gang. Small time, but dangerous. She hunted locals daily, draining men like juice boxes. Meanwhile, the crown kept feeding her feedback loop. The thirstier she got, the stronger she became. A literal lust-powered tank. Left unchecked, the crown would stack buffs infinitely. The win condition, snatch the crown to debug her brain. The tricky part was the execution. Cut to Southern District. The driver booted them out the back door. As Jing hit the pavement, the system hummed divinity absorption at 79%. Down the block, a bat cracked against bone. A thug laughed. Man, total freedom feels awesome. A woman's voice chimed in. Right? I do what I want, when I want. Anyone tries to boss me around? They catch these hands. Jing squinted. Who was this Chu Nibu grandma? Realization hit that cringe lady was Lu Huiying. An old geezer told her to watch out. Leaving? She scoffed. Says who? She leaned in. Where are your two boys? Haven't seen the merchandise today. The geezer nervous laughed. If you need a guy, I can call a pro. She grinned, predatory. Nah, I want both of yours. Jing gagged from the shadows. She was ancient. Seducing her? He'd rather take a dirt nap. Suddenly, a rowdy crew rolled up. Brother Duan is handling this personally, one goon shouted. Crazy Lou is toast. Revenge Squad, 12 o'clock. Jing decided to camp and spectate. The Razor Gang boss, Duan Kai Ping, stepped up and roared her name. He starts by calling her out, saying word on the street is she's been acting real arrogant lately. Lu Huiying, the fierce leader of the Rose Gang, just stares him down and asks, Who the hell are you? One of her battered lackeys speaks up. It's Duan Kai Ping from the Razor Gang. That's the guy responsible for turning their faces into pulp. She scans him from head to toe, smirking. Nice body, she teases, asking if he came here to play with her. That triggers him instantly. He throws a haymaker, but she weaves past it like it's nothing. He screams for his territory back, while she dances around his fists. Jing pieces it together. This turf used to belong to the Razors until the Rose Gang snatched it up. Classic turf war origin story. To him, it's just another gang brawl waiting to happen. The Razor crew charges in, trash-talking her for playing hard to get. The Roses jump into the fray, and it's total mayhem until a brick smashes into someone's skull. Lu freezes cold. Her eyes lock onto Little Bao, bleeding out. The guy she was just chatting with? That's the kid's dad. The father's panic is heartbreaking, and Lu's playful vibe instantly dies. Kaiping grins. Now, the real beast is awake. He stops holding back, unleashing his true power. Bam! A direct hit sends her flying into a wall, but she doesn't fold. Instead, her eyes blaze with excitement. She's finally ready to throw hands. They rush each other like freight trains. The clash is pure chaos. Jing notices Kaiping isn't your average thug. He flattens his palm into a lethal blade. That hand turns razor sharp, slicing through iron like it's butter. Yet, on Huiying, it barely leaves a scratch. Skill-wise, Kaiping is leagues above her, but the woman is a literal tank. He can hit her all day, but her defense is broken. She catches him with a brutal bat swing, forcing him to cough up blood. Suddenly, a system alert pops up for Jing. Divinity absorption complete. Movement speed unlocked. The menu offers him a choice. Physical strength, physical defense, reaction speed, calculation ability, concentration, or memory. He grabbed speed last time, so now he stacks it with strength. Time to test out this new power level. He locks onto a target and flicks a simple pebble. It shoots out like a sniper round, shattering Kaiping's leg bone on impact. Jing realizes this isn't just a buff, it's a transformation. Lu whips her head around, hunting for the sniper. She screams for the attacker to show themselves. Kaiping is seeing red, convinced she pulled a dirty sneak attack. He calls for a retreat, but not before his goons promise they'll be back for blood. She rubs her bruises, admitting that actually stung. Jing steps out of the shadows, and she asks if he's the mystery shooter. He owns up to it, She eyes him suspiciously, asking if he's packing heat. He just smirks, sort of, and promises he won't use it on her. Analyzing her stance, he sees she's got zero formal training, just brute force. It's obvious she's an amateur, so he decides to take her head-on without messing up his disguise. If it gets hairy, he can always take off the glasses and mind control her later. She laughs in his face, teasing that the only place he could handle her is between the sheets. Jing closes his eyes, centering himself. A terrifying aura explodes from him, startling her. For the first time, she senses real danger. "Who are you?" she demands. He replies coldly, "I am Set." Activating twin life, he vanishes into a blur of speed. He drills a kick into her ribs, slamming her into the pavement so hard the concrete cracks. She can't even blink before his fist fills her vision. Bam! Right in the face. He unleashes a machine gun combo, every punch connecting with her skull, until the final blow launches her into a brick wall. The hit is so heavy even Jing's hand trembles. The thunderous crash draws a crowd, whispering about whether they're shooting an action movie. The wall crumbles, burying her. The crowd gasps, thinking she's done for. While everyone speculates about this mystery fighter, Lu rises from the rubble. She's livid. The crown on her head starts glowing with dark energy. She growls that he's officially crossed the line. Jing, he's actually enjoying this. She vows to turn him into meat paste and swings her bat wild. He slips the attack and drives a knee straight into her nose. Blood sprays everywhere, but she just flashes a creepy, blood-stained smile. She latches onto his arm like a vice. "Gotcha now," she snarls. But she freezes as he calmly places a single finger on her forehead. This absolute gigachad locks on his target and unleashes a finger flick from hell. "The force is insane!" She drops the bat, clutching her face, screaming about her eyes. Jing recalls his master's lesson. Dirty, malicious, doesn't matter. Winning is everything. Only the victor gets to tell the story. And everyone has a weak point, even her. He delivers a ruthless kick between the legs, and she drops like a sack of potatoes. While she's writhing on the ground, Jing clasps his hands together, raising them high for the finisher. He brought his fists down like a seismic hammer, smashing the crown clean off her skull. The ground literally caved in under the pressure. She ate dirt hard, face-planting into the crater, while the crown skidded across the broken rubble. The Rose Gang watched the whole thing, legs shaking so bad they could barely stay upright. Jing snatched up the villainess's crown of glory, and instantly, the system flagged it. Divine substance detected. Extraction started immediately. He snapped a quick pic for Yu King to prove the asset was secured, then shot a glance at Lu, hoping she wouldn't straight up suffocate face down in the dirt like that. As for her punishment, after all the twisted stuff she pulled with that crown, he figured he'd let her victims handle the payback. Suddenly, the absorption bar spiked. He was about to check the stats on his HUD when some suit interrupted him. Our MC spun around to lock eyes with the source of the noise. The guy demanded Jing hand over the loot, claiming he was unqualified to touch it. Meanwhile, the divinity gauge hit 71 out of 100. Timing was tight. Jing couldn't let this guy ruin the process, so he hit him with a calm. And if I say no, the suit flared a killer aura, asking if Jing had a death wish. Staring him down triggered the system analysis panels. Stats popped up. Body level 1.7 to 1.9. Mutation rate under 1%. Definitely a martial artist. No specialized limbs. Combat mode incalculable. Comprehensive danger level, a solid 2.1 to 2.5. The suit sized Jing up figured he was just some 16-year-old bumpkin from the outer ring backwaters. But his level was already over 2. Still, the suit thought he was trash. As he closed the distance, he offered one final warning. Jing's response? A snap kick, aimed right at the family jewels. The guy cursed him out for being a dirty fighter, who relied on cheap shots, bracing himself for the impact. But, surprise, Jing bolted in the other direction, screaming, "Get away from me, you pervert!" I mean, who guards their crotch like that against a normal attack? The suit roared, threatening to murder him if he didn't stop running. Jing wondered if this guy was a containment agent from a rival corp, but something felt off. The guy's body was wrong. Too stiff, like bolted together machinery. The suit lunged, nearly grabbing him, but Jing twisted his body, slipping out of the grip like an eel. The enemy clicked his tongue, pissed off. Jing knew he had to disengage. The divinity meter was ticking up 81 out of 100. Bam! Suddenly, a punch launched him straight through a concrete wall. He barely got his arm up to block, but the force still sent him ragdolling through multiple rooms. He realized running wasn't going to cut it. This freak would eventually run him down. Ping. System update. Divinity extraction complete. Skill check. Shadow Flame unlocked. Divinity collected. 539 out of 500 required. Conditions met. Activate? Oh, you bet he smashed that yes button. The suit closed in, barking demands handed over, and he'd only break a couple of limbs, maybe spare his miserable dog life. He froze mid-sentence when Jing's hand suddenly clamped over his mouth. That's when it hit him, this kid was a recipient. Jing tilted his head. You talking to me? The suit realized there was nobody else. He saw the black fire dancing around Jing, felt that chaotic aura. No doubt about it, he was facing a recipient. Shadow Flame, Level 1, activated. Upgrade progress, 39 out of 100. The ability was simple but deadly, turning shadows into physical, burning fire. The Divine Avatar ult remained locked, needed level 10 and 2000 divinity. He was way short on that. Jing noticed the guy's eyes go wide the moment he saw the black flames. He screamed, "Recipient." Jing didn't know what that meant, and frankly, he didn't care. The suit tried to bail, but Jing wasn't about to let him walk. He blasted the black fire forward. The man shrieked, "Stay back!" Jing was just testing the waters, moving on instinct, letting the shadow flames surge like they had a mind of their own. It felt like an auto-targeting system, like floating turrets locking on. The suit cursed as the barrage rained down. Jing just watched, eyes cold. The fire slithered right into the guy's nostrils. Jing flinched as the man started screaming from, well, everywhere. He watched the gruesome show. The guy was burning from the inside out. It was enough to make Jing want to hurl. Then, the system chimed. Achievement unlocked. The weak defeats the strong. Reward, plus 452 fighting experience. Another, ping, plus 633 fighting XP. Fitness XP spiked by 422, and another 558. Boom Fitness upgraded to level 6, sitting at 28 over 3000. Health Preservation hit level 4 at 25 over 1200. Aiming shot up to level 4, at 102 over 1200. Fighting Skill, level up to 4, sitting pretty at 800 points. XP bar filled, stats hit level 5. Progress sits at 127 out of 2000. He crouched over the corpse. Where the fabric had incinerated, cold steel peeked through. That's when it clicked. This guy wasn't human. He was wrapped in synthetic skin, durable as a tank. Even after roasting in that inferno, the exterior was barely scratched. If Jing hadn't cooked him from the inside out, this boss fight would have been a total nightmare. Contrast that with the rock nearby crumbled to dust in seconds. Jing theorized the black flame's destructive output scaled with the target's density. But something was off. The stone surface wasn't charred. In fact, it was ice cold to the touch, which meant this black flame wasn't actually fire at all. It was something else entirely. Whoosh! The dark aura around him vanished. He pulled up his system interface for answers. The log was clear. Black flame runs on converted shadows. Since the environment was brightening up, the power output tanked. It made perfect sense. More darkness equals more fuel, boosting the shadow flame's intensity. He dismissed the shadow cloak. It was kind of funny he'd triggered a hidden skill mechanic without a single system notification popping up. Still had zero clue how the cooldown timer worked, though. Whatever. Problem for later. Right now, he needed to debrief Yue Qing about the crispy cyborg. Meanwhile, in the southern district, a man lovingly stroked a pulsating mass of flesh like it was a pet. He murmured to the shadows, "Do you know why I called you?" It was Kai Ping, looking wrecked, bandaged up, and missing an entire hand. He hit his knees, trembling. Because you warned me not to make a scene, Master. And yet, blur. The Master teleported instantly, fingers locking onto Kai Ping's skull in a vice grip. Rage radiated off him. You knew the rules, yet you still went out and started a mess? You got a death wish or something? Kai Ping slammed his head down, begging for his life. Get up. The Master's voice went cold. What about the 2 units we deployed? Status. Both terminated. Kai Ping stammered. Was it White Raven? No. One was taken out by a kid. The Master's eye twitched. Terrified, Kai Ping scrambled to clarify. It was Shui Jing, just some random nobody. That snapped the last nerve. A nobody? You expect me to believe a civilian took down my creations? Those subjects might have been prototypes, but they were far above human trash. Bring the boy to me, alive. A twisted smile formed. I'll feed him to the great sky lodging insect mother myself. His biomass will help her spawn superior offspring. And with that army, this world is mine. Cut to Qingchong Library. Jing walked in, bracing for impact. He'd made a massive mess, and he wasn't sure if Yue Qing would cover for him. He shook it off. It is what it is. If he's in trouble, he'll just grind harder on the next mission to make up for it. Ding. 7th floor. The doors slid open, and there was Yue Qing already bowing deep. I'm so sorry, she said, keeping her head down. I didn't anticipate the intel being that wrong. I left you to die out there. It was a total failure on my part. Jing blinked. This wasn't the chewing out he was expecting. I'm bumping the mission rating to rank C+. You'll get a bonus payout too. Please, accept it as an apology. Deal, Jing said instantly. Internally though, he was baffled. She was taking this way too well. As they settled into the lounge, she dropped the intel. We ID'd your target, Ju Ying-kun, C-class specialist. On the payroll for Shu's containment company. They claim he went rogue, said the company had no involvement. Jing narrowed his eyes. Yeah, right. Plus, Ying-kun was a dude. Why was he risking his life for the villainess's crown of glory? Yue Qing spread a digital map on the table. That bothers me too. Look at this. Their HQ is deep in the inner ring. Sending an elite op all the way to the outer slums? It doesn't add up. Their story is airtight on paper, but my gut says otherwise. She looked him in the eye. Let me handle the politics. You stay off their radar. Copy that. He reached into his inventory. Oh, almost forgot your loot. He placed the crown on the table. He gestured to the tack glasses. You want these back? Keep 'em, she replied. Consider it a gear upgrade for the next run. Her expression darkened. But here's the weirdest part. The autopsy report on Ying-kun. His insides were gone, hollowed out completely. Did you do that? Jing's mind raced. The shadow flame was way more lethal than he thought. He didn't fully get the mechanics himself, but revealing his trump card? Bad move. He slid the glasses off and gave a calm, cryptic smile. He shut her down, he couldn't say. Boom. Instant crimson face, heart hammering against her ribs. She stammered out that if he wanted to keep it zipped, that was cool. Everyone's got skeletons in the closet. She respects the hustle. Then came the command. Put the specs back on. He ignored her, stashed them away instead. Just a piece of gear, right? Then he pointed to the item in his hand. What's the deal with this? Containment card, she clarified. Basically an all-access pass to make future missions a walk in the park. Relief washed over Su Jing. This was it. He was officially part of the squad. She confirmed his status with a sharp snap of her fingers. Hidden floor panels slid open. Welcome to the inner circle. She told him that besides the employee perks, the real treasure, the entire data archive, was now at his fingertips. Total access. But she couldn't babysit. She had business to handle, so she told him to dive in solo. He threw up a peace sign, told her to stay safe, and turned around. Only one thing on his brain, finding intel on that cattail ring. He stepped into the aisles, head on a swivel. The vibe shifted like walking into a whole new dimension. Everything sorted by relic. His eyes landed on God 018, Death Goddess's unreasonable favor. Never heard of it, so naturally, he was hooked. He tapped his card against the terminal. BZZT. Access denied. Insufficient clearance. Ouch. He moved to the next shiny thing. God 069, Cinderella Boy. The serial number was low tier, so he figured it was an easy unlock. Wrong. Denied again. He started spamming his card on other relics. Locked out. Locked out. He roamed the archives until his legs felt heavy. Zero success. Yu Qing said. He had the keys to the kingdom, but that was looking like a lie. Frustration started bubbling up. If basic stuff was locked, the cattail ring was probably behind a firewall too. Didn't matter. He kept the hunt going. Finally, bingo. God 1391, cattail ring. He sent up a silent prayer and tapped the card. Ping. Access granted. He nearly collapsed with relief. But there was a catch, danger level B. That was way above Su Jing's C-class pay grade, meaning he only got the first 2 layers of info. Everything else was redacted. He always figured this thing. Just turned folks into cute kitties. Nope. This thing was ranked next to god relics that could wipe entire city blocks off the map. He grabbed a chair and locked in. The file was wild. Wear the ring for 1 month, and you unlock the ability to shapeshift between human and cat at will. Nice. That sounded super clutch. But then he hit a weird entry. Some year in the past, a doctor went full psychofanatic, screaming his head off, the second he laid eyes on the ring. Guy went on to found the alien god cult. Okay, now Su Jing was interested. He pulled up the cult's file. Backstory time. When God died, the planet cracked like an egg, and the borderlands spilled out from the fissures. People started diving deep into these cracks and found artifacts, tools that acted like a direct line to the alien gods. Power-hungry fanatics started grouping up, begging these entities for buffs. Boom, the alien god cults were born. The lucky ones who got powers were dubbed recipients. Finally, that term made sense to him. Page turn. Rewind 200 years. A cult called the Lion Sage Sect tried to slide into the DMs of the god Bastet. Total radio silence, until one believer got their hands on God. 1391, went full feline, and finally secured the goddess's blessing. Twist ending. The believer didn't get the juice. The relic did. From that moment, the cattail ring became insanely OP. As the user synced with it, they'd start draining Bastet's own power, until they literally morphed into the real Bastet. Su Jing froze. The Lion Sage sect would burn the world down to get that ring back, which meant Feng Na had a massive target on her back. They'd kill her without blinking. Now, it clicked why. She was so desperate for him to hit the dojo. He could visualize the alternate ending, if he hadn't leveled up in time. It would have been game over for both of them. Shaking it off, he flipped the page. To check the sync requirements for God 1391. Step 1 for the cattail ring. Massive emotional trauma or excitement. After the first hit, the user has to spam that same emotion to boost the fusion rate. Su Jing stared at the text, and that incident played back in 4K resolution in his mind. He shook his head violently, trying to delete the mental image. It was way too vivid. His face darkened as the reality hit him. To turn her human again, they'd have to recreate that moment over and over. How the hell was he supposed to explain that to her? He pushed through the awkwardness and kept reading. Good news. God 1391 has 0 side effects. No curse, just straight up divine authority. And that was it. The Lion Saint sect remained the only legitimate threat on the radar. That thought sent a chill down his spine, but realizing there were 0 nasty side effects was a massive win. He flipped to the next page, desperate to uncover exactly what kind of juice Bastet was packing and how to get this cursed ring off his finger. But surprise, surprise, the pages were blank on the important stuff. His C-class clearance was basically a keep-out sign. He didn't have the rank to access the deep lore. Buzz. His phone lit up. A notification from the bank flashed across the screen. A deposit of 231,511.31 Huaxia credits just hit, boosting his total balance to a sweet 235,212.25 yuan. For a second, he thought payroll came early. Then it clicked, this was the compensation from Yuqing. He hadn't expected a payout that fat. Finally, the days of penny pinching on every single meal were over. Now, he could funnel that cash into his grind, maximizing his training time to get swole. He decided to splurge on some high-tier ingredients and whip up a gourmet feast for Fengna. He dropped the truth bomb about the condition for her regaining her human form later, when the vibes were right. 5 days later, the table was groaning under piles of luxury food, and Fengna was absolutely demolishing it. Between bites, she asked why he was bawling out so hard lately. Did he rob a bank? He joked that he used to be loaded, which just made her tilt her head in confusion. He broke it down. He'd spent the last few days mastering a move from the master, called the Tremor Armor Technique. The moves were easy. The price tag? That was the nightmare. He had to chug supplements while training and soak in a medicinal bath after every session. A single run cost 40 grand. His account had bled out, dropping all the way to a pathetic 8,011.03. He'd only run 5 cycles. In the last few days, he never imagined 200,000 could evaporate that fast. She did some quick mental math, noting that there should still be 30 grand left in the tank. Where did the rest go? He silently pointed at the mountain of food she was inhaling. That shut her up real quick. She admitted his loyalty. Was impressive, but she still lectured him to watch his wallet. It wasn't just the potions. He needed to budget for weapons and hidden gear soon. Plus, you can't walk into elite venues looking like a bum. Formal drip was mandatory. A decent suit alone started at 100,000. He thought that price was straight up criminal. She told him to cap the lobster dinners at once a month, or he'd go broke. It hit him, then the path to power is incredibly expensive. Payday was miles away, and Yuqing wasn't exactly handing out gigs. If he didn't figure out a hustle fast, he'd be back to eating air. Desperate, he hit up Fu Guang. Yo, anywhere short-staffed? I'm broke. He offered to do anything, bodyguard work, heavy lifting, you name it. Fu Guang texted back immediately. You asked the right guy. He told him to pull up to the Hidden Dragon Dojo tomorrow afternoon for a skills test. Jing looked back at the table. Fengna had wiped the plates clean. Hey, save some for me, he shouted. Cut to the next day at the Hidden Dragon Dojo. Our MC was in the zone. Mid-training, he unlocked a new passive skill, Soft Force. Fu Guang watched from the sidelines, nodding in respect. 5 days to push the Tremor Armor Technique this far? The kid had serious potential. A student wandered over, interrupting to ask if Jing could demo a move since they were running strength tests. Before Jing could even shrug, Fu Guang accepted for him. He leaned in, whispering that this was the perfect opportunity to flex his gains and show these guys what real power looks like. Jing weighed his options, then decided to give it a shot. A student named Wen Jiaorong, who clocked a punch at 201.3 kilograms, chimed in. He's the new guy. Probably doesn't have the raw specs. Don't force it, man. Another student, Yi Yingyu, hitting 212.2 kilograms, piled on, warning Jing not to break his hand and cry about it. Suddenly, the woman who invited Jing, Ning Mengmeng, who packed a wallop at 232 kilograms, shut them down. Quit yapping. Our junior brother is a beast. Jing stepped up to the bag and threw a punch with 0 wind-up. It looked like a gentle love tap. Ning Mengmeng frowned, worried he wasn't taking it seriously. Jiaorong had to bite his lip to keep from laughing. The room went quiet, but the vibe was loud. They thought Jing had pulled his punch to avoid embarrassing himself with a low score. They smirked, ready to roast him. He was barely putting any effort into it. intentionally holding back. But the second those words left his lips, the punching bag absolutely obliterated. The digital scale maxed out, flashing 9,999 in bright red. The entire room went dead silent. Stuffing from the destroyed bag rained down everywhere. Jing stood there, totally unfazed, claiming it was just soft force. He broke it down, explaining that raw power isn't king. What he just unleashed was a high-level application of Jin force. It wasn't about hitting hard. It was about condensing all that energy into a single point, injecting it into the target, and triggering an implosion. He told them to meditate on that. Meng Meng looked at him like he was a god, thanking him for the free masterclass. Ying Yu, completely salty, just clicked his tongue in annoyance. Jing didn't miss a beat, ordering Ying Yu to head to the warehouse. He told him to grab a fresh punch pad for the machine. Ying Yu, having zero leverage here, had to swallow his pride and go do it. That little power move made Meng Meng giggle. Fu Guang stepped up, assuring Jing that with moves like that, he was totally set. Turns out, a VIP needed protection. The gig was a little messy, but he asked Jing if he was down to take a shot at it. Jing took the file Fu Guang handed over. It had a photo of the venue and the specs. The spot? East District, Jin High Street, number 617, the Ruiju Hotel. The payout? 800,000 wen. Jing saw that number, and his eyes practically turned into dollar signs. He told Fu Guang to count him in. Cut to the Ruiju Hotel. Jing stepped out of the car, looking sharp in a traditional black top and matching pants. The second he walked into the lobby, heads turned. You could hear the whispers starting, everyone wondering who the mystery guy was. The fit screamed martial artist, but he definitely didn't have the vibe of some rich second-generation heir crashing the party. The crowd guessed he was hired muscle, but he looked way too fresh-faced for security work. Jing caught the gossip and realized his senior sisters were spot on. Drip really does define the man. He flashed back to Shan Yin asking if he seriously planned to go out in a hoodie and a black shirt. He had defended his comfort fit, asking what the big deal was. She lectured him that presentation is everything. If he looked cheap, people would treat him like trash. But she told him to chill because she had him covered. Then she whipped out this loud, designer red suit. He immediately shut that down, way too flashy. He told her he wasn't going on a blind date. That's when he felt a tap on his shoulder. It was Qing Zhao, clutching a sleek set of black robes. Shan Yin instantly started beefing with her, calling her sneaky and claiming dibs on dressing him. Jing silently decided that senior sister Meng was the real MVP here. Back in the present, some ladies nearby were checking him out, clearly feeling the look. One of them even whispered about getting his digits. Meanwhile, a guy in a red beanie asked if Jing was some elite disciple from the Hidden Dragon Dojo. The dude next to him in a white suit shrugged, saying he'd never seen the kid before. Beanie guy figured the dojo must have picked up fresh blood. White suit countered, mentioning that the Dragon King, Li Qi, famously said he'd only take 7 disciples, and that 7th spot was reserved for a literal prodigy, with god-tier talent and bone structure. Otherwise, the spot stays empty. He side-eyed Jing, commenting that the kid looked more like a pretty boy model than a fighter. He doubted Jing had any real power and said there was no shot he was Li Qi's student. But the guy in red noticed something else. Jing's lower body was planted like a tree. Every single step was calculated exact same length, precise rhythm. His upper body? Completely still. No wasted movement. His body control was freakish, and his center of gravity was on a whole other level. White suit wasn't buying it. He argued that even if Jing could multiply his force 10 times over, against a mob of 100, he'd still get folded. That annoyed the red beanie guy, who muttered that arguing with a meathead was a waste of breath. Just then, the receptionist walked up to Jing, politely confirming if he was the martial arts expert here for the security detail. Jing introduced himself, keeping it professional and polite. The man broke down the mission. They brought in 6 martial artists total, each guarding a specific zone. Jing drew the stage area. Lighting was trash over there, so he needed to stay hyper-vigilant. Jing grabbed the floor plan, smirking confidently. He said, with this much firepower on site, nobody would be stupid enough to try anything. The manager shook his head, no guarantees. Stacking the deck with guards was just their way of trying to stop problems. Before they started, he excused himself to manage the chaos. Jing realized that while hiring extra hands wasn't weird, bringing in 6 high-level martial artists meant the threat level was serious. And it didn't stop there. The place was swarming with bodyguards. Checking their gear, Jing could tell these were pros, not mall cops. Plus, the number of surveillance cameras was way beyond standard hotel security. Weird situations usually have a hidden script. This massive setup sparked his curiosity. What kind of drama triggered this whole scene? Suddenly, a guy in a sharp white suit slid over, asking if Jing was the new ace disciple from Hidden Dragon Dojo. Jing hit him with a, who's asking? The guy introduced himself as Li Jiaoquan, repping Tiger Soul Dojo. He promised he wasn't looking for beef, but since they were in the same line of work, He claimed it wouldn't hurt to gauge each other's levels. Jing asked for the method. Zhao Quan proposed crossing hands, the classic martial arts handshake to test grip and internal power. Jing clocked the game instantly. This guy thought Jing was just a green rookie and wanted to humble him. But for Jing, this was a perfect opportunity to see where he ranked on the food chain. Nearby, Yu Gang spotted Jing and practically glitched out. "What are you doing here?" he stammered. A woman next to him whispered, asking if he knew the handsome stranger. Then another spectator chimed in, betting on Jing. They recognized the big shot. It was Pei Xiao. The girl beside Yu Gang murmured that Zhao Quan was a beast. She mentioned the last time second young master Yu Gang tested his grip against him. He got crushed so hard he screamed. That memory was a total cringe fest for Yu Gang. Another girl noted that the handsome guy wasn't moving a muscle, so she assumed Zhao Quan had this in the bag. Jing calmly clarified the situation. It wasn't that nothing was moving, it was just happening too fast for ordinary people to see. That's when the vibe shifted. Jing looked slender on the outside, but his body was forged like high-grade weaponry, muscles like steel. His chi was pristine levels above the messy energy Zhao Quan was working with. Xiao told Yu Gang to hold tight until the show ended. He wanted an intro to this young powerhouse immediately after. Yu Gang nodded fast. Internally, he was shaking. He couldn't wrap his head around Jing's insane power creep. It felt unreal. Meanwhile, Zhao Quan was confused because he couldn't sense a drop of chi coming from Jing. That made him smirk. He figured the kid was an amateur. He told Jing to pack his stuff and run home to mommy. Jing could feel the guy's power. It was legit. The man had clearly grinded for years to get that grip strength. But compared to Jing, he was still playing in the kiddie pool. Jing stood there, unfazed, and cracked a smile. Zhao Quan's gut instinct suddenly screamed danger. Jing's energy erupted out of nowhere, hitting like a freight train. Panic flooded Zhao Quan's brain. He couldn't hold it back. He struggled to escape the grip. Then, without warning, snap, his wrist gave out. Jing blinked, stunned. That crunch sounded expensive. Zhao Quan slowly retracted his noodle hands. Jing asked if he was good. Zhao Quan forced a laugh, straightened up, and lied through his teeth. "I'm fine." He admitted Jing was strong, calling him a worthy high-tier disciple of Hidden Dragon. He sounded impressed, but it was pure damage control. He excused himself to the restroom and speed walked away. Once the door clicked shut, the tears started flowing. The pain was blinding. He crouched in the corner, cradling his shattered wrist, wondering what kind of monster he just tried to bully. Jing frowned, genuinely concerned. He definitely heard a bone snap. Just then, Yu Gang shouted his name. Jing spun around. He was shocked to see Yu Gang waving frantically from the VIP section. Jing finally confirmed it. Yu Gang wasn't lying. He really was a rich heir. The whole time, Jing thought the guy was just bluffing. Yu Gang laughed, saying, "You gotta be kidding me," he explained. The lore. He was the illegitimate son. If his big brother didn't have his back, he wouldn't be living the high life. Jing asked what the deal was. Yu Gang hesitated, then spilled the beans. Jing's handshake performance was legendary. Now, his big brother wanted to network. He hyped his brother up as a certified genius who got into Inner Ring University purely on combat stats. Xiao was standing right there on stage. Jing asked, "That guy?" Yu Gang nodded, adding that a bunch of wealthy ladies and heiresses were also dying for an introduction. He asked for Jing's schedule. Jing sighed. "Can't do it. I've got a shift later." He didn't mind meeting people, but he set the boundary. If they really want to be friends, tell them to come find me. You want something in this life? You fight for it. Don't wait for handouts. With that mic drop, Jing walked off to get back to work. Yu Gang watched him leave, totally captivated. He suddenly realized Jing had main character energy. Hearing that, the girls hyped themselves up. If they wanted the prize, they had to hunt for it. A blonde woman stepped up first. The crowd swarmed him, phones out, begging for his digits. Everyone wanted a piece of Jing, but while he was drowning in attention, a delivery guy slipped past him like a ghost. Jing clocked him a second too late. His brow twitched. Weird. The manager never said anything about incoming deliveries. He opened his mouth to shout, but the blonde bombshell snatched his arm, demanding he scan her code right now. She flashed a killer smile, promised to teach him a few things, and dropped a wink. Jing felt the walls closing in, totally trapped by the mob. He sighed and swapped numbers just to shut them up. Meanwhile, the sketchball hit a switch. A red LED blinked to life, and boom, Jing's phone screen bugged out. His gut screamed danger. It wasn't just the phone. Snap. The entire room plunged into pitch blackness. At first, just a power cut, no biggie. Then the panic set in. People tried their phone flashlights dead. Nothing worked. Batteries fried in a split second. It was eerie, dozens of phones, and not a single screen lit up the dark. One guy mumbled something about bad luck and dead batteries, but Jing knew better. His phone was at 100% a minute ago. And in a crowd this size, Not one person could get a light on. That wasn't a coincidence. It was a total blackout. Plus, the main power died at the exact same second. Jing's mind raced. Every single piece of electronics in the room was bricked. There's only one culprit for a wipeout like this. An EMP, an electromagnetic pulse. High-tech, military-grade stuff designed to fry circuits instantly. But why go this hard? If they just wanted a hit, this was way too much drama. Then crash. The windows exploded inward. The blonde shrieked, latching onto Jing like a lifeline. Shards of glass rained down over the banquet hall. Amidst the chaos, someone stammered, blaming the wind or a clumsy waiter. But the phone stayed dead, and the darkness felt heavier. A guest started shouting for old Wang, realizing his buddy had vanished from right next to him. Flick. Yue Gang sparked a Zippo. Xiao's instincts flared. "Nobody move," he roared. "Group up. Now." Back to back. Terrified, they obeyed. That's when they saw the shadows shift. A distraction pulled their eyes left, and swish, another person was snatched from the right. By the time they looked back, President Zhang was history. Only a pool of fresh blood remained. That broke them. The defensive circle shattered as people bolted in blind terror. Xiao stood his ground, screaming that running was a death sentence. Suddenly, whoosh, something sliced the air near his face. A split second later, warm blood trickled down his cheek. He stared into the void, nothing. He felt the killing intent locking onto him. Xiao didn't wait. He threw a punch at empty space. Bam! Solid contact. He sent the invisible attacker flying, but he wasn't fast enough for the follow-up. Yue Gang tackled him out of the way just as the death blow landed. Someone else wasn't so lucky. The poor guy got ripped in half. Torso gone, lower body still standing, spraying a fountain of crimson. Looming over the corpse, a giant insectoid nightmare. Xiao and Yue Gang froze in pure horror. "Run!" they screamed, but the trap was already sprung. No way out. Game over. Then boom, Jing crashed into the scene, smashing the monster. "What the hell is this ugly thing?" he asked casually. The bug smashed into the floorboards, coughing up green slime. No mistaking it, it was another one of those cockroach men. Jing actually smirked. All that hellish training paid off. If he hadn't leveled up, he never would have punted that beast so easily. The bystanders just stared, jaws on the floor. He just drop-kicked a monster into the drywall like it was nothing. People started frantically scanning the room, searching for the hired muscle from the dojo. Joke's on them, those cowards bailed ages ago. Yue Gang gasped out a, "Thank you for saving Xiao." "Stay back," Jing warned, eyes locked on the target. "It's not done yet." The roach launched itself at him. Jing frowned. This one was tougher, way more durable than the last freak. Did it evolve? Was it a higher level? He decided to test the waters. If things got hairy, he'd bail. He wasn't dying for a paycheck. Crunch. He slammed a brutal elbow straight into its spine. The creature flew across the room like a rag doll. Suddenly, a shadow flame flickered deep in Jing's pupils. The monster wasn't the only one. Who owned the darkness now? The black void lifted. Everything snapped into focus. Shadow flame, dark vision, activated. Turns out the skill came with built-in night optics. The system description really needed an update. If he'd known that, he would have popped it 5 minutes ago. Now, he danced through the dark. Xiao Quan watched, totally mesmerized. Jing was going toe-to-toe with the beast, but Xiao shook his head. To a rookie, it looked like Jing was barely dodging. But look closer, Jing hadn't taken one step back. That's when it hit Xiao. He wasn't just fighting, he was holding the line to protect them. "Move out," Xiao yelled. "We're just dead weight to him right now. Why drag them down and make them dead weight?" The squad decided to bounce, dial 911, and grab backup from the curb. Watching the doors swing shut, Jing exhaled. Finally, the leash was off. He locked eyes with the beast, dropping a cold one-liner, "You were having a blast terrorizing them, huh? Well, let's keep this party going." The creature's wings snapped open with a sickening buzz. Boom! It blitzed him. Jing barely registered the blur. This thing wasn't just fast, it had been holding back. Now, it was moving at supersonic speeds. The beast paused its target, just glitched out of existence. Confused, it vented a cloud of suffocating, ink-black smog. Jing froze, totally blind. Then, reality warped. A spectral lantern spun before his eyes, projecting a supercut of his life's memories. Was this it? Game over? Killed by a glorified bugman? No shot. That didn't add up. He dropped serious cash on those martial arts classes. Ain't no way he's folding to a pest now. This felt glitchy, wrong. Gravity took over. Thud. His skull rattled against the floor. He glanced over a spectral dragon avatar, then crunch. The monster tackled him mid-vision, but the impact halted dead. An invisible barrier flared at Jing's chest. When his eyelids snapped open, the humanity was gone. His pupils were infernos, leaking trails of sinister, crimson-black vapor. He looked like a demon awakening, Time to pay the rent. He unleashed the ultimate hidden dragon finisher, the cloud ceiling tail strike. Impact was instantaneous. Splat. The monster's torso vaporized into mist, leaving just a twitching pair of legs standing there. Gore painted the walls. Jing felt a surge of adrenaline, an epiphany. But the victory lap was cut short. Something was off. It wasn't finished. Honestly, not shocked. Beneath the mutations, this freak was still a roach. Headless or not, roaches can survive for over a week. He accessed his bio-knowledge. The kill switch is the ganglion nerve. Right under the throat, he plunged his hand into the slime and yanked out a pulsating nerve cluster. It was massive. Do normal roaches even pack hardware that size? He choked back a gag. Yu Gang peeked out, voice shaking. Is it toast? The carcass finally went still. The crowd erupted. Jing actually did it. But then, the clout chasers swooped in. One guy yelled, "Bro, what dojo do you rep? I'll drop a cool 1 million on a sponsorship deal right now." "Forget him, I'll pay 2 million. They started swarming Yu Gang for an intro. Then, Red Beanie Guy popped back up, smirking at Xiao Quan. "Man, you got guts trying to square up with a beast like that." Xiao Quan's face turned tomato red. "Shut up," he snapped. But internally, he was sweating bullets. That young hero barely used 1% of his power during their spar. If Jing hadn't held back, Xiao Quan would be in a wheelchair right now. Jing cut through the noise, ordering everyone to evac immediately. His gut screamed that this was just the opener. Yu Gang finally clocked the blood on Jing. "Dude, you're hurt." Before Jing could answer, a suit stepped up, demanding an explanation. Jing eyed him coldly. "Who's asking?" "Ye Cheng Lin. I'm hosting this event." He narrowed his eyes. "Are you saying this nightmare wasn't an accident?" Jing nodded grimly. "Look at the tech. That wasn't a power outage. It was a military-grade EMP. Someone pulled the plug. And that Roachzilla? It was deployed. This was a hit job on everyone in this room." Cheng Lin's face went dark. A premeditated assassination. Organized to wipe us out? The realization hit him. Rage took over. "I swear, my father will tear this city apart to find who did this." Jing kept his poker face, but his radar was pinging. Too many cameras, and a literal army of bodyguards. They expected trouble, yet they still hosted the party here? Suspicious. The problem was definitely on the inside. Plus, looking around, this guest list wasn't exactly average citizens. Why wipe them all out? Cheng Lin was definitely holding back a crucial piece of the puzzle. Jing addressed the crowd. "Listen up. The bug is dead, but we aren't safe yet. Everyone, move out. Fast but steady." Staff herded the panic, keeping the stampede in check. "If you got a lighter, spark it up." As they navigated the gloom, Cheng Lin leaned into Jing's personal space, whispering, "Do you know what that thing actually was?" Jing played the fool. "I'm just hired muscle, boss. I protect the VIPs. I don't ask questions." But he knew it was a test. The conspiracy in this place was way deeper than the Mariana Trench. Later, back in the safety of the lobby, Jing pulled up his UI. While the rich kids frantically called mommy and daddy for evac, begging to go home, and never return to this cursed hotel, Jing's system pinged. Deathmatch survival confirmed. Body potential unlocked. Gained plus 1027 fitness XP. Mentally tallying the loot. And oh boy, the harvest was looking juicy. The system notifications kept pinging plus 829 health preservation. Boom, plus 538 running, plus 55 charm, and a sweet plus 518 aiming. He also bagged a massive plus 1,539 fighting experience, plus 1,347 sports, and plus 121 visualization. All thanks to vividly picturing that true dragon tearing through the cloud sea. His fitness stat leveled up to tier 7, sitting at 135 out of 4,500. Health preservation hit level 5, currently 298 out of 2,000. Running sprinted to level 6, clocking in at 359 out of 3,000. Fighting smashed its way to level 6, 324 out of 3,000. And visualization warped to level 4, standing at 748 out of 1,200. Jing was vibing with this. Grinding 4-digit XP drops wasn't a walk in the park, and he finally unlocked the specialization recues. He glanced at the gash on his chest. Wait, it was knitting itself back together? He froze, totally thrown off. Then it clicked, his status had fully reset and recovered post-level up. Then, a system prompt flashed. Requirements met. Ready to evolve basic force delivery into special force delivery? He paused. Was this upgrade unlocked because he finally grasped the cloud ceiling tail technique? And was this new special force delivery tied to the secret arts of the hidden dragon style? Whatever. Don't overthink the win. Any way you slice it. Special force delivery. Sounded way more OP than the basic version. He smashed that yes button, confirming the specialization instantly. Force delivery rocketed to level 6, hitting 2,080 out of 3,000. a total of 6,880 XP, converted straight into Hidden Dragon Force, now sitting at level 4, 1,880 out of 4,000. Suddenly, a bizarre sensation rippled through his veins. It felt like rusty gear inside him just got a fresh coat of premium oil. The Jin force surged through his frame, flowing smoother than anything he'd ever felt. You don't waste a buff like this, so he struck while the iron was scorching, dropping right there in the lobby to grind the tremor armor technique. Just then, the medics rolled in, with Xiao directing traffic toward the wounded. He started debriefing them on the chaos in the 17th floor banquet hall. He was mid-sentence when he choked on his words. Jing was already back to cultivating in the lobby? Insane. Later that night at the Hidden Dragon Dojo, Jing thanked Shan Yin as she prepped the salve for his chest. She couldn't help but ask how he got so wrecked. On what was supposed to be a simple bodyguard gig, a monster like that showing up? Totally off script. She sighed, calling his luck absolute trash. The master wheeled in, explaining that dojo missions are always a dance on the razor's edge. Accidents happen. Since the master was a walking encyclopedia, Jing asked if he knew where that nightmare creature spawned from. Li admitted he was in the dark on the specifics, but he dropped a hint the thing was likely linked to the Borderlands. Jing paused. The Borderlands? Those natural rifts mentioned in the files that ripped open after the god died? He couldn't help but wonder what kind of horrors lurked inside those dimensions. His master cut him off. Don't stare into the abyss. Just surviving was a huge W. Besides, it was a blessing in disguise since Jing had finally unlocked the Dragon Style's ultimate kill move, the Cloud Ceiling Tail. For a fighter, dancing between life and death is the ultimate XP boost. Jing corrected him. He felt like he'd actually grasped the true essence of the Hidden Dragon Style. The master was so shook, he literally launched himself out of his wheelchair, stomping straight toward him. Jing flinched. Li started patting down Jing's body, and what he felt stunned him so hard. He stumbled back and hit the floor. He stared up, asking if Jing had actually raised a dragon. Jing looked totally lost. Even Shan Yin felt like they were speaking alien. Li burst into maniacal laughter, absolutely hyped by the discovery. He explained the secret. To hide a true dragon that can flip the sky and clouds, you first gotta raise a fledgling dragon inside you. And somehow, Jing had already birthed a dragon within his physical shell. Jing and Shan Yin scrambled to help the old man up. Jing mentioned that ever since the dragon manifested, his Jin force flow was buttery smooth. He asked if there were other perks. Li got serious. That dragon wasn't just some mental image, it was a strand of true dragon force with its own soul. He dropped the lore. Martial arts isn't just about drilling moves anymore, it's about feeding that beast inside. That is the core of the Hidden Dragon Style. And Jing? He just grabbed the key to shattering his human limits. Shan Yin asked for the translation. Li explained that the human body hits a wall once the 5 major trainings skin. Every fiber, every drop of blood, honed to absolute perfection. The physical vessel has hit its ultimate ceiling. Now comes the breaker. You have to shatter those limits and force an evolution of your very existence. Rebuilding the body is just the groundwork. Sure, you still look like people on the outside, but inside, you are something else entirely. Taoists call these ascended beings earthly immortals. Buddhists bow to them as living Buddhas. Barring any catastrophic mishaps, they are looking at a lifespan of at least 150 years, staying in absolute prime condition until their final breath. Jing's gaze drifted to his master's crippled legs. The accident was staring him right in the face. Li just waved it off. You cleared the biggest hurdle, kid. The danger zone is behind you. Now, it is just steady, grinding from here on out. Jing bowed in gratitude, but Shan Yin piped up. She had heard rumors from her senior brother. Rumor had it, Li was a legend who actually leaped the Dragon Gate. So why, she pressed, did you end up old and broken? Li's face darkened instantly. Because someone slaughtered the dragon I raised. The revelation hit them like a truck. He took them back to the glory days in the North District, when he coasted on raw, overwhelming power. He was wild, reckless, completely clueless about how big the world really was and how small he was in it. He and Bo Shang spent every waking hour in brutal duels, stepping on toes, and making powerful enemies left and right. When those haters realized they could not touch him, they went for the low blow targeting Bo Shang's wife and daughter. Red haze descended. He wanted blood. Everyone warned him to stop, but fear was not in his vocabulary. He mowed them down, wave after wave. For a hot minute, he felt untouchable, until karma came knocking. A real monster showed up, shattered his legs, and crushed the true dragon in his heart. His spirit did not just break, it disintegrated. Left a cripple, the world lined up to kick him while he was down. Only Bo Shang stayed loyal, shielding him from the fallout. To keep Qingjiao safe from the sharks, they fled the North District with their tails between their legs. That is how the Hidden Dragon Dojo was born. Jing hesitated, then asked the big question. Do you ever crave payback? Li admitted the fire still smoldered. But these were not street thugs. They were titans of the North District. Not small fry you can just squash. Forget it, kid, he sighed. That is ancient history. Buried. But hey, if you ever crack the inner ring legitimately, maybe then we can reopen that cold case. Later that night, walking home, Jing's phone buzzed. Notification: 80,000 Juxia credits received. Direct deposit to card ending in 366. New balance: 88,000. 11.03. Talk about speed, he did not expect the payout to hit this fast. Man, that hotel does not play around. He unlocked his door, calling out, "Fengna, I am home." Dead silence. Maybe she is in the shower? He triggered his visualization ability to scan the place. A highlight reel of her day flashed in his mind. Looked like she was having a blast. Until he saw the clip of her sneaking out the window. Jing rushed to the glass, scanning the darkness. 3 figures in the distance. 2 guys had a cat cornered. Jing's stomach dropped. She was in trouble. But then Fengna spoke up. "We ran away," she hissed. "Why are you hunting us?" Their answer was chilling. "Your crown called to us. The infinite dragon, Ananta Shesha," it responded. That blindsided her. Then they dropped the title, Sect Leader. "With your insane potential, you are the perfect vessel. And when you accept it, we will use the main sect's power to rebuild everything from the ashes." One guy raised a hand, holding his partner back. Fengna was not buying it. Suddenly, she froze. She spotted Jing. "What are you doing here?" she stammered. "I could ask you the same thing," Jing shot back. But piecing together their chat, he clocked them immediately members of her old sect. One guy smirked. "Aren't you scared that Can Security Company will find out about your little pet boy?" The name Can Security made her stiffen instantly. Jing could not unhear that threat. The man pressed his advantage, speaking fast. "If you keep hiding in his house and Can Security catches wind, you are dragging him straight to hell with you." Guilt washed over Fengna. Jing watched her, wondering if she actually wanted to bail. But he knew Can Security was not a joke. They were apex predators. After the god died, the world went into freefall. Governments were too weak to hold the line, so they outsourced the law. They handed enforcement rights to private military corps, letting them build their own personal armies. And Can Security? They were the big dogs. Unlike the rest, this thing ballooned at an alarming rate, morphing into a behemoth with roots digging deep. It was already totally off the leash. Before this mess, Feng Ya, stuck in her cat form, had been laying low perfectly fine. But now that the Dragon Sect bloodhounds had sniffed her out, her cover was blown wide open. Yet, even if Can Security came knocking, Jing didn't flinch. He looked the guy dead in the eye. "Feng Ya isn't going anywhere." That hit Feng Ya right in the feels. The guy pressed Jing. "You really think you can shield the sect leader?" Jing just shrugged. "Hasn't happened yet, has it?" "Won't know till we try." The guy scoffed, laughing at Jing's ignorance. "You're clueless about the nightmare that is Can Security. A scrub like you won't last 5 seconds. One random squad implies game over for you." Suddenly, Feng Ya screamed, "Cut it out. If you creeps hadn't shown up here, we wouldn't even be dealing with this drama. I never asked to be your Dragon Sect leader. That was all that dead geezer's obsession, going rogue on his own, shoving that title on me, acting like I'm some chosen one or whatever. You want that so-called endowment? Go grab it yourselves and get out of my face." She was gasping for air after that rant. "And if things go south, I know Jing's got my back." She turned to him, eyes wide. "Right?" He didn't hesitate. "Yeah." They spun around and walked off. The guy just clicked his tongue in annoyance. Meanwhile, across town, deep in the nest of the Great Sky Lodging insect mother, Kai Ping's master was fuming. Didn't expect number 1 to get absolutely wrecked by a 17-year-old high schooler. Even Chung Suan at that age would have struggled against that beast. Makes me wonder, is there a prodigy out there even scarier than Chung Suan? Kai Ping shook his head. Totally different ballgame. Senior brother had barely started martial arts at 17. My bet? That kid on the news is a sleeper agent. Hidden Dragon Dojo probably groomed him in secret for years, just to drop a bomb on the world with one flashy win. Forget it, the master waved him off. Doesn't matter. We didn't get the result we wanted, but at least bodies dropped. Should send a nice little wake-up call to the governing council. He chucked his phone at Kai Ping. Kai Ping caught it. "What's the status on number 9? The master demanded. "It ate number 7 last night," Kai Ping reported. "Only 10 days old, and its evolution speed is honestly terrifying. Number 9 is our MVP right now," the master decided. "Most bang for our buck. Focus all future feeding and production on that beast." He narrowed his eyes. "Find a chance to let number 9 stretch its legs. Make a scene. I know that kid from the news goes to Chingcheng Affiliated High. That's the elite school in the city. If a bloodbath happens there, public support for that bill will skyrocket." Kai Ping felt a cold shiver down his spine, but he bowed. "Understood." Cut to a blazing sunny day. Jing was grinding hard on his martial arts, desperate to level up and fix everything. Even if he couldn't fix the world, he could definitely fix the people breaking it. In his mind, he was already burning the Khan security company to the ground. System update. Tremor armor technique complete. Fitness experience just spiked by plus 331. And that wasn't all. With visualization active, the gains were insane. He unlocked Shaking Star Fire, one of the Hidden Dragon's big 5 fatal moves. It was a defense buster. Instead of hitting the surface, it drove explosive Jin force straight into the enemy's guts. With this, Jing could smash through copper walls and iron fortresses like wet paper. He needed to master this. Stat. Suddenly, Fu Guang burst in. Jing, you hit the jackpot. Jing blinked. Say what? Remember that monster you flatlined at Ruiju Hotel? You saved a bunch of Nepo babies? Hidden Dragon Dojo is drowning in donations right now. All thanks to those rich heirs showing their gratitude. Master said it's all yours. Every penny. We're talking 22 million. Jing's eyes practically turned into dollar signs. He visualized himself swimming in a vault of cash. Damn, the elites sure know how to handle business. Fu Guang grinned. Master also said, since you're loaded now, you can stop training like a maniac on a budget. He handed over a fancy meal plan the old man cooked up. Check the daily intake. 1 perfect tonic soup, 1 kidney booster, 1 essence restorer, and a heart-nourishing soup to top it off. We're talking 1 spirit-nourishing soup, 4 inhalable boosters, and 2 medicinal baths to soak the bones. Add 8 vials of essence liquid to the mix, and the daily bill hits a cool 208,000. Jing just chuckled, acting like it was chump change. Since he was sitting on a stack of over 20 million, Fu Guang told him to flip the page. Reality check. Jing needed to pop a qi-condensing heart-nourishing pill every week. That little habit alone, 800,000 a pop. Then there was the intensive steam sauna, a medicinal nightmare he had to endure twice, draining his wallet of another 1,230,000. And don't forget the maintenance attendant opening massage every 2 weeks, priced at a steep 1,800,000, plus a monthly session in the high-pressure stone chamber for a smooth 2 million. Jing's body physically shuddered. Fu Guang dropped the hammer. Time to kiss that 20 million goodbye. In a heartbeat, Jing went from tycoon back to broke scholar. Then Fu Guang flashed his phone screen. Jing was plastered all over the front page of the Ching Cheng Morning Post. Someone had leaked the footage of him dusting that monster yesterday, and the media was eating it up. Just like that, he was the city's new golden boy. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. Unknown caller. Jing picked up, and the voice on the other end made the blood drain from his face. It was a full-volume scream. The caller was chewing him out for ghosting his classes for so long. He was getting roasted for cutting school to work part-time, becoming a viral hero, and still not showing his face on campus. Jing tried to clap back with a family emergency excuse, but since the school sports meet was days away, his teacher wasn't having it. She voluntold him for the 100-meter, 200-meter, 400-meter, 800-meter, and the brutal 2,000-meter dash. Basically, he was the entire track team now. Just then, Shang Ying signaled him from the distance. Perfect timing, Jing told his teacher. He had a crisis to handle and hung up fast. The teacher shouted one last warning, show up, or else. Jing turned to his 6th senior sister, asking if she was the one hunting him down. She dropped some good news, a commission with his name on it, and the payout was massive. Now she had his full attention. The client was a fellow martial artist. After seeing the viral clips, this guy was itching to see what Jing could really do, and wanted to cross hands. The fee? 500,000. Jing's eyes practically turned into dollar signs. $500,000 just to be a glorified punching bag? Sold. The next day, he headed to the Inner Ring North District. This was politician turf home of the Northern Nobles. Rumor had it a random guy here could make in 5 minutes. What an outer ring family scraped together in a year. Jing used to think that was just hype. Then he pulled up. All this cash just to trade a few blows? 500,000? Totally insane. But hey, the ultra-rich operate on a different frequency than normal folks. To them, that kind of money is basically a rounding error. The mansion was a beast, rivaling the size of half a school campus. That's when he spotted them. Standing at the gate, Yu Gang was waving him down. And Xiao was there too? What were the brothers doing at a place like this? Jing asked if they routed the gig through their dojo. Xiao shook his head. Jing had it wrong. Someone specifically requested a sit-down, and they used Xiao to set the stage. Jing shot a piercing glare at Yu Gang. Yu Gang threw his hands up, not his idea. His dad gave the order, and he wasn't about to say no. Jing narrowed his eyes, asking if it was their father who wanted to throw hands. Yu Gang denied it. A third party had cashed in a favor with his dad. He looked stressed, like he was just as confused as Jing. Xiao suggested they walk and talk. He dropped the intel. The guy is from an official organization. Which one? No clue. But their dad gave one clear instruction. Bend over backward to keep this man happy. At a banquet last night, the VIP personally asked to meet Jing. Xiao asked if Jing really had 0 leads. Jing shook his head. Who would go through this much drama? Just to get a look at him? His gut said it might be the Kang security company. Before Xiao pushed the door open, he got serious. He warned Jing that even though he was a powerhouse, he needed to stay sharp. The guy inside was a different breed of strong. The man was an absolute unit, thick build, dreadlocks, middle-aged. He introduced himself as Mandrill. Jing clocked it immediately. This guy was dangerous. He greeted him respectfully, his eyes locking onto the calluses between the thumb and palm, and the bullet scars on his shoulder. Those aren't from training. That's a soldier's resume, someone who kills for a living. Mandrill grinned, claiming he wanted to be buddies right off the bat. And in his world, the quickest way to bond is a brawl. He launched from his seat, shattering the table and chairs next to him. With pure explosive force, Jing clenched his fist, bracing himself. For a split second, he questioned if this guy was even human. Really from that security firm? Doesn't matter. Jing is about to end his career. They collide dead center. Fist meeting fist. The shockwave is so violent that Yu Gang's legs turn to jelly. He can barely keep himself upright. Mandrill waits for the sound of shattering bones. But Jing? Not a scratch. He just smirks. My turn. Mandrill freezes. Brain short-circuiting. How is that even possible? Before he can blink, Jing triggers the cloud ceiling step. He ghosts right behind Mandrill and drives double elbows into his spine. Bam! The blow ragdolls Mandrill, smashing him halfway into the solid cliff face. Xiao is stunned. He admits if he had eaten that punch earlier, his arm would have been toast. But Jing isn't just unharmed. He clapped back instantly. Yu Gang stares, slack-jawed. Just how much power is Jing hiding? Jing sizes Mandrill up. Just another spoiled rich kid playing warrior. Mandrill drags himself out of the rubble, shaking like a leaf. Then, he starts laughing. That felt incredible. He catches Jing's look and grins. Why the face? Come on, hit me again. Jing thinks this dude is a clown, but something feels sketchy. That cloud ceiling strike turned the Roachman into confetti, but Mandrill barely felt it. It gives him the same bad vibes as Ju Ying-kun. You're augmented, aren't you? Jing asks. Mandrill does a double take. A kid from the outer ring knowing about cybernetics? He taps his chest. Bone protective membrane. Military-grade entry gear tailored for my skin. Eats shockwaves for breakfast. Especially effective against that Jin Force you martial arts guys love. He grins. Tempted? Want an upgrade? Jing gives him the coldest. No possible. Mandrill rolls his eyes. Always the same with you people. That's why martial artists can't face reality. Wake up! The world has evolved. He screams, launching himself at Jing again. Close range clap. Mandrill smacks his hands together. The vibration hits Jing like a flashbang, ears ringing off the hook. My hands are modded to blast sonic waves on impact, Mandrill explains. Prepare for serious vertigo. Dodging is useless. The closer Jing gets, the harder the bass drops. Game over, kid. I win! Mandrill shouts. But suddenly, Jing plants one hand on Mandrill's chest and hits the mute button. Full stop. Mandrill's eyes pop out. How did you? Too late. Jing closes the gap instantly. He drives a massive fist right into Mandrill's solar plexus. Boom. Golden energy erupts, shattering the concrete under Mandrill's boots. External armor is tough? Fine. Jing injects pure Jin force straight into his internal organs. Agony rips through Mandrill's entire system. Don't need muscle to knock you out, Jing says flatly. A light tap is plenty. A robotic voice from Mandrill's chest announces. Subject consciousness. Severed. Wait. Jing freezes. There's a comms unit inside this guy's body. Who is this? He demands. And what do you want? Sit tight. We are en route, the voice replies. Jing checks his invisible watch. Make it quick. I'm booked. We won't keep you waiting, the voice assures him. Xiao sprints over, looking panicked. What the hell do these creeps want? Yu Gang adjusts his glasses. Classic hidden organization recruitment test. Jing sighs. Stop watching so many movies. I'm serious. It's a trope for a reason, Yu Gang argues. Mandrill, still on the floor, chokes back a laugh. Jing kicks his foot. Get up. I know you're awake. Mandrill groans, clutching his chest. Okay, that actually hurt, he admits. But seriously, how did you break my sonic lock? Your tech shocks the brain, Jing explains. So I just used a stronger force to override it. Mandrill goes pale. That means this kid was holding back the entire time. He shoos the brothers away. Okay, you got me. I'm with an official agency, and we want you to join. Jing shuts him down instantly. Zero interest in your secret club, especially if you're the recruiter. If you were legit, you would have sent an email, not a fist. Playing games? Testing me? Your organization has trash vibes, Jing says, clearly unimpressed. I'm not joining, period. Honestly, even a polite invite would have been a no. He likes his life. grinding martial arts stats, farming in peace, and occasionally containing threats to level up. It's comfortable, maybe too comfortable. Mandrill starts sweating. Whoa, don't be so hasty with the refusal. Okay, my methods were reckless, but the perks are insane. No downsides. Starting with this protective membrane. That cybernetic gear was priceless, totally off-market, but if Jing signed the contract, he'd score a set for $0. Jing clapped back, noting that fancy chrome didn't stop Mandrill from getting wrecked. Mandrill admitted Jing was a prodigy, sure, but he dropped a hard truth. Sooner or later, flesh and blood hit a ceiling. That physical wall, the absolute limit where you can't level up anymore, would drive a fighter like him crazy. Jing nodded along, only to shut him down cold. He smirked, saying it sounded way more entertaining to crush these modified freaks using his original, organic body. That snapped Mandrill's last nerve. This kid was immune to logic. Suddenly, the comm speaker screamed to life, telling Mandrill to zip it and bluntly roasting his recruitment skills as absolute trash. Mandrill froze, totally caught off guard by the captain's voice. The captain barked at him to check the sky. A silhouette was dive-bombing straight from the clouds. Jing triggered his aim skill and instantly clocked her identity. It was Voidblade. They both covered their faces as she slammed into the ground, a shockwave of dust and rubble blasting out from the impact zone. She hit Jing with a casual greeting, assuming he hadn't forgotten the captain of White Squad 838. She then nonchalantly pointed out that the gorilla standing next to him was actually one of her subordinates. Jing leaned in close, whispering, asking what the deal was. Why try to recruit him now when she was the one who handed him off to Yu Qing originally? She clarified that this order came from the big bosses. Plus, she had a secondary objective beyond just headhunting. She asked if he had any clue about the origin of that beast he slaughtered a few days back. Jing shrugged, saying he just knew it was a Borderlands vibe, nothing specific. She nodded, confirming it definitely had Borderlands traits, specifically the possession of a core. That core is the battery for Borderlands monsters. But here's the kicker, it's not always in the heart. It could be hiding in a limb, a fingernail, or even patches of skin. As long as that core stays in one piece, they have infinite respawns. Jing breathed a sigh of relief, realizing he'd smashed that thing by total accident. Pure RNG luck that he hit the vital organ. He asked for the logic behind it. She said it was a unique case. She projected a hologram of the sky-lodging insect mother, a nightmare creature from Borderlands F056, aka Carrion Lake. Its official threat assessment clocked in at a massive 6.2. Jing asked for a breakdown. What exactly did a 6.2 rating represent? She fired back, asking if the Outer Ring dojo skipped basic power scaling classes. Voidblade ordered the gorilla to transfer his combat logs from the earlier fight. Mandrill grumbled under his breath that he wasn't a gorilla, but tapped his temple anyway, emitting a soft electronic beep. She pulled up the file and saw that Jing's current combat rating was already spiking between 2.9 and 3.1. A standard adult male sits at a level between 1 and 1.1. So, Jing's 2.9 meant he was packing the power of 1,280 men. Meanwhile, the sky-lodging insect mother scaled to 65,000 of him. Jing admitted that sounded pretty catastrophic. She added that those stats were for a max-level threat. A dormant sky-lodging insect mother only hits a 1.8, since its main job is just pumping out babies. This thing devours genetic code from its prey and births insect hybrids based on what it eats. It can even consume different species and splice their DNA together. 1 month ago, a smuggling ring captured one of these mothers from Carrion Lake and trafficked it out. Following the intel, the squad chased the smugglers to Qingcheng's southern district before the trail went cold. But now, thanks to Jing, they finally had a solid lead. Jing asked if that cockroach monster he deleted was a spawn of this insect mother. She confirmed he was dead on. And since that thing was a cockroach man, Jing realized it was a twisted fusion of human and pest DNA. That realization hit him like a bucket of ice water. Voidblade could tell he'd figured it out. The cockroach man's power had been climbing rapidly. She suspected whoever was piloting the sky-lodging insect mother was constantly upgrading it. And Jing? Since he'd wrecked their plans multiple times, he was definitely on their hit list. Jing got the picture. He asked if this recruitment offer was essentially a witness protection program. She said, nope, he might be 17, but his raw talent was off the charts. More importantly, he had the guts to go toe-to-toe with Borderlands horrors. The White Raven squad was bankrolled by an agency with the most elite, cutting-edge training curriculum in all of Jusia. They could max out his stats in every category, leaving 0 blind spots. Jing knew the sales pitch was flawless. Too bad he was already running a personal system that blew theirs out of the water, so he passed on the offer. Voidblade let out a sigh. She kind of figured he'd have that lone wolf mindset. So, she pivoted to a compromise. Jing could sign on as an external contractor for the White Raven squad. Side hustles? Check. Fat payouts? Double check. Mandrill is listening in, and his jaw is basically on the floor. But Jing? He's skeptical. The perks are suspicious, way too sweet. He cuts the fluff. Does your agency have any god relics in the vault? Jackpot. She nods. Yes, their internal R&D department is literally the God Relic Research Institute. The place is stacked with artifacts. As long as he grinds enough merit points, snagging one is a piece of cake. Jing's eyes instantly turn into dollar signs. He agrees immediately, cranking the acting skills up to 11. He puts on a show, claiming he's been a White Raven stan for 10 years. Being an external op? That's my literal dream. They shake on it. Deal signed. Jing jumps into his ride and dips. Mandrill turns to the captain, totally confused. Is this guy really worth the hype? Mandrill asks. I mean, he's a martial arts beast, sure, but he's not a unicorn. Voidblade shuts him down. Jing is built different. She reveals she touched base with the Wu family heiress yesterday. The value that girl places on Jing? It's way above Mandrill's pay grade. Mandrill freezes. You mean Wu? Yuqing? The natural recipient? He can't wrap his head around it. That girl has been on an eternal quest to cure her condition. Her logic? Only a deity can throw hands with another deity. Besides the relics, Jing is the only variable she actually cares about. Voidblade suspects he's hiding some overpowered stat that they haven't identified yet. Even if they don't know what his X factor is, the strategy is simple. Lock him down first. Golden hour hits as Jing cruises home. He watches the city blur even the richest blocks here. Make the North District look like a dump. Ping. A message from Yuqing pops up. Library, when you can. He replies, on my way. He tells the driver to reroute to Qingcheng Library. He hits the 7th floor in record time. She points to a chair. As soon as he sits, he takes a sip of the drink waiting for him. Gross. He tells the boss to upgrade the menu next time. He seriously can't figure out why she simps for that Sweetwater kettle artifact. She raises an eyebrow. Not a fan? It's brewed from God Relic water. He deadpans. I'd kill for a cola. She skips the small talk. I know White Raven reached out. They invited me, he admits. But I turned down the full gig. She nods. Smart move. Why? He asks. She goes full professor mode. Crows? They're usually bad vibes, harbingers of doom and death. But White Ravens? That's the rebranding. They symbolize rebirth, mercy, and good fortune. The name sounds poetic. But the reason they chose it? Pure grimdark reality. The casualty rate is a nightmare. Since they opened up shop 60 years ago, only 3 members have survived until retirement. Jing gets a chill. Okay, that is actually dangerous. Note to self, play it safe with these guys. His twin life respawn ability has a serious cooldown window. He shifts gears. So, what's the lore on this agency anyway? She drops the government name. Abnormal Disaster Emergency Management Special Agency, formed right after the new era began. Huaxia set it up to handle the weird stuff. It's totally separate from the big 5 agencies. We call it the 6th agency. If you joined and went full GTA on the city, or nuked the place, nobody could touch you. Jing finally grasps the scale of their power. It's terrifying. Isn't the government scared they'll go rogue? Nope. She's calm. 13 top officials run the show, and they all live in the Azure Court. The 6th agency is basically its own sovereign nation. Jing realizes their reach is infinite. She leans back. I just called you here to warn you about the White Raven thing. Now that you know the lore, you can bounce. Jing blinks. That's it? No quests? No. Gonna show me the cool artifacts? No. Again. Seriously? She smirks. If you're absolutely bored, you can grab a broom and sweep the floor. Jing nopes out of there instantly. Buzz. His phone goes off. It's Du Shuai. Oh, snap. He totally ghosted his teacher. He picks up. Yo, I'll be there in a sec. Cut to the South District. Kaiping's master is slumped on some gritty stairs, looking absolutely wrecked. A guy looking like a punk rocker walks up. Boss, the test subjects are moved. The master grimaces. I didn't think White Raven's nose was that sharp. They tracked us. He looks up. How's Kaiping? Luoke dropped the update. Following orders, Kaiping had already dragged number 9 over to Qingli's turf. The clock was ticking. Using number 9 as live bait was the only way to pull White Raven's gaze away. It was their one shot to smuggle the sky-lodging insect mother. That thing was a walking neon sign. Impossible to hide. Luoke scoffed Con Company wasn't lifting a finger to help. They were strictly on their own. The master let out a cold laugh. Classic corporate behavior, he muttered. They want the prize without the grind. If we crash and burn, they lose 0 equity. But that's exactly why. We're flipping the script. His disciples worried that even if they pulled this off, Con Company might just cut them loose, once they served their purpose. The master stayed ice cold. He'd already done the math. He had an insurance policy ready. If they went down, Con Company wasn't walking away clean. Meanwhile, A shadow slipped onto the campus. To his eyes, the students looked like an all-you-can-eat buffet. If he bagged them for the insect mother, he'd score massive points. He spotted the girls hyping up Jing in the distance. He tracked a kid sprinting across the field. That was Jing? In his head, Jing looked like a total NPC. No way a normie like that could drop a test subject. Whatever. The show was about to start. He settled back into his janitor disguise. A student side-eyed his massive build, confused. Suddenly, the girls went wild. Jing took the win. Jay tossed Jing a water bottle. Bro, seriously? Still zero interest in dating? Jing kept it dry. Nope. He pivoted, asking what was left on the schedule. Just the 400-meter dash, the 2,000-meter run, and the relay. Jing paused at the relay. Jay grinned. Teacher signed you up. Don't worry, I won't choke. Then, the vibe shifted instantly. The metallic tang of blood hit Jing's nose. He triggered his aim skill and zoomed in a cockroach man, feasting on students. It was moving through campus like a wolf in a playpen. Jing snapped at Jay. Call the cops. Now. Tell them a monster is in the school. Run. Don't look back. Over at the main building entrance, it was a slaughterhouse. The cockroach man locked onto a fresh target, a girl shaking in the corner. It crept toward her. She braced for the end. Suddenly, a blur of motion crashed in. Jing tackled the beast, sending it skidding. The creature rolled and popped right back up. Move, Jing roared. The girl scrambled away without a second thought. Jing needed to chip away at its health. He popped twin life and twin speed, focusing every ounce of power into one strike. Crack. He shattered its shell and launched it, smashing it through wall after wall. A figure stumbled out of the debris. The janitor. He was sobbing, begging for help, claiming he lost control. Jing's eyes narrowed. It was Kai Ping. What was he doing here? Kai Ping stammered about the Golden Wind Dojo, desperate to find his master with urgent intel. But the cockroach man was back. It ignored Jing completely. Kai Ping froze, paralyzed by pure fear. Before he could scream, chomp, gone. Jing realized if he hadn't used twin life, he would have been the snack. His ult hadn't finished the job. After inhaling Kai Ping, the monster locked eyes with Jing. Its wounds were knitting together at insane speeds. With a screech, it blitzed him. Jing barely sidestepped. A split second before impact. He spun away, but a tentacle still clipped him. This wasn't right. Compared to the one at Ruiju Hotel, this thing was on steroids. Bigger barbs, tougher hide, and those antennae were straight-up blades now. Definitely genetically modded. This was going to be a grind. Jing grabbed a fire extinguisher and hurled it. The beast slashed it midair. Bam! White fog exploded everywhere, blinding it. Jing didn't hesitate. He grabbed a jagged rebar and drove it through the monster's skull, earning a shriek of pain. Wings flared out. It was still moving, then poof, gone. It started circling at Mosh speed, trying to mess with his head before the kill shot. Jing never pegged this beast for a tactical genius. Realizing his eyes were a liability, he shut them tight and switched gears to pure visualization. Visual tracking was a dead end against these erratic angles. He ditched his eyesight entirely, letting his mind map the monster's trajectory instead. Gotcha. A spark ignited in his chest, a rush of pure adrenaline. It was that exact same electric surge he felt the moment he unlocked the cloud ceiling tail. No hesitation, he triggered a lethal hidden dragon technique, the turning golden scales. But even as the power flared, reality hit him. The school was a wreck, and this much chaos meant the White Raven squad was inbound. New objective, survive. Just buy time until the heavy hitters touched down. The campus was absolute rubble. Above the carnage, Voidblade floated effortlessly, her anti-gravity dragon wings humming with power. Less than 5 minutes, and the place was a wasteland. A cold realization hit her. Jing was down there, and he was likely in deep trouble. A chopper roared overhead, but Voidblade barked an urgent command to evade. A massive tornado was spinning up right next to them. Mandrill radioed the captain, flagging the main building's collapse. He needed a green light. Were they still dropping into this mess? Voidblade didn't wait. She pinged her sensory skill and picked up a heat signature inside the debris. Zooming in, she confirmed it. Jing. Intel flashed across the team's HUDs instantly. She made the call. Prioritize extracting Jing. The rest of the squad could worry about bagging the insect mother's spawn alive. Mandrill watched, eyes widening, as she unsheathed a wicked augment crafted from pure dragon bone, wondering why she brought god-tier gear for a cleanup job. Meanwhile, she was trying to figure out if that earlier energy storm came from the roach monster. She breached the building and ghosted up to Jing, tapping his shoulder lightly. He snapped, throwing a wild haymaker at her. She yelled to identify herself, and he instantly locked up. Recognition flooded in, followed by a wave of relief. His adrenaline tanked to zero, and he crumbled, but she scooped him up before he hit the floor. She injected a rapid response painkiller, but he grabbed her arm. "Stay alert," he rasped. That roach freak was on another level of strength. She clocked the weird glyphs on his neck, but told him to chill. She wasn't riding solo this time. The whole White Raven squad was on the field. They blitzed straight toward the monster. Mandrill couldn't help but grin, proud of the groundwork Jing laid down for them. But the lollipop girl cut him off, telling him to quit yapping and lock in. The creature lunged, a spear-like thrust incoming. Mandrill shouted a quick thanks for the heads up, and dove into the fray. Out of nowhere, the beast hacked up blood. A massive gash ripped open across its flank, courtesy of the long-haired assassin. Voidblade didn't miss a beat, calling Mandrill a moron, and reminding him she specifically said to hit the angles right. "Watch closely," she commanded. Suddenly, dozens of daggers levitated around her, priming for launch. She dashed in, unleashing a torrential downpour of steel upon the target. The monster's carapace shattered like cheap glass as she diced it into confetti. Jing watched from the sidelines, muttering about how these guys were the real deal. He tracked her blade, noticing how she sniped the weak spots in the joints, with absolute surgical precision. A feather-light tap was all it took to make the monstrosity crumble and dissolve. That's when it clicked she was playing in a totally different league. But even with its limbs hacked off, the thing was still twitching. Voidblade barked at Chi-Yu to cauterize the wounds. No killing blows, they needed this thing breathing, so they could trace it back to the sky-lodging insect mother. She tossed a casual order to Xiao Jing to handle the mission paperwork while she was at it, and to file a rec with command for a tracker. Mandrill strolled over to Jing, asking why he looked like he'd gone 10 rounds with a blender. Jing admitted he was just lucky the cavalry showed up. Mandrill shrugged it off, said the second the captain got the ping, they hopped a bird straight from the southern district. Turns out, the captain thinks Jing is a pretty big deal. Jing shifted gears, asking if they dug up anything. Down south. Mandrill admitted they'd only swept a third of the grid, and so far, 0 hits. Jing dropped the bomb. He had a lead. Voidblade was instantly all ears. He laid it out. He suspected the bug monster was smuggled in by a guy named K. Ping. Local thug, leader of the punk gangs, and his presence on campus was already sketchy. Even worse, the guy was posing as a janitor. Smelled like a setup from a mile away. Voidblade confirmed that intel was gold and ordered Jing to push it up the chain. As soon as possible. She started to turn, but stopped cold. Something felt wrong. Her face hardened. As she screamed for Xiao Jing and Chi-Yu to fall back, the scattered meat chunks were magnetizing back together. Chi-Yu froze, paralyzed, and took a direct hit, while Xiao Jing barely rolled to safety. The roach bolted like it hadn't just been diced. Mandrill guessed hyper-regeneration, but Voidblade corrected him. It's molting. They watched it scramble away. There was no way they were letting that thing leave the premises. Jing snagged the blade from her grip. Before she could even question the move, he was already channeling twin life and twin speed. With a burst of motion, he launched the steel straight at the fleeing monstrosity. Voidblade's jaw hit the floor. Mandrill stood there, brain trying to process the impossible. That wasn't just a throw. Jing had fired that projectile with the kinetic energy of a depleted uranium tank shell, using nothing but raw muscle. The roach hybrid collapsed mid-stride. Jing shrugged it off, casually mentioning that Voidblade's high-quality steel did the heavy lifting. That little comment made her salty. That knife was a $10 million asset. But Jing was distracted, fixated on the fact that despite stacking twin life, he was still physically outclassed by that cockroach freak. That was the wake-up call. He desperately needed a real weapon. Looking down, his arm was already turning a gruesome shade of purple. The recoil from that move came with a nasty price tag. Voidblade ordered him to fall back with the team. They needed to airvac him to the Hidden Dragon Dojo immediately. Everything else was secondary. Jing didn't argue. He knew basic energy circulation wasn't going to fix this kind of tissue damage. He needed his seniors to patch him up. He let out a heavy sigh, dreading the lecture waiting for him. He was definitely getting chewed out for this. As the chopper ascended, the squad started debriefing about losing another operator. Xiao Jing asked the captain if they should radio HQ for backup reinforcements. Voidblade shut that down instantly. She pointed out that piling up more bodies would spike the squad's casualty stats and tank her year-end performance review. Jing listened from the side, chilled to the bone by their corporate attitude toward death. That was a level of numbness he could never vibe with, even if he lived a second lifetime. Ding. The system notifications went crazy. Surviving a deathmatch had spiked his potential, dumping a massive plus 1,367 into his fitness experience. Since he landed the kill shot, the adrenaline rush triggered a bonus, boosting his health preservation experience by plus 939. And because that throw was flawlessly precise, his aiming experience skyrocketed by plus 1,211. His aiming skill officially hit level 6, sitting at 198 out of 3,000 points. Hidden Dragon Force leveled up to 5, now at 232 over 5,500. Visualization also hit level 5 with 121 over 2,000. It hit him then. This growth was agonizing, but the power spike was addictive. The chopper cut through the sky. With his aiming stat boosted, he expected a visual upgrade. Glancing out the window, the streets below snapped into focus. It was insane. His naked eye now packed better zoom than high-end binoculars. Combine this eagle vision with the range of hidden dragon force, and sniping targets from kilometers away wasn't a fantasy anymore, it was the new meta. Next time he ran into a monster like the Roachman, he wouldn't need to risk close quarters. His survival odds just went through the roof. Intel started pouring in from the southern city sector. The forensics team ran the numbers, confirming the local pollution rate had breached 10%. Jing looked blank. He had zero clue what pollution rate meant. Voidblade looked at him like he was an alien. She asked if he really knew nothing, wondering what kind of education they were running in the outer ring. She broke it down with a visual. She held up her left hand. This is our reality. She held up her right. This is the other world. When these dimensions brush against each other, pollution leaks out. A light graze? You get an impact event, keeping pollution levels between 1 and 5%. But when you get a hard overlap, that rate spikes between 10 and 30%. That's when physics starts breaking down, and entities from the other side can physically cross over into our turf. Jing asked if that's how Borderlands formed. She shook her head. Borderlands only happen when the saturation hits a critical 100%. At that point, it's neither reality nor the other world. Humanity had to coin a new term for that nightmare, a subworld. Since an overlap could hit Southern City any second, she warned him to steer clear. Jing nodded, absorbing the info. Back at the dojo, Shan Yin wasted no time tearing into him. She screamed that he was a constant source of stress. Every time he dragged himself back, he was half dead. Even Xinjia was fuming. While they slathered healing ointment over his bruises, Shan Yin threatened that if he pulled a stunt like this again, she was washing her hands of him. Jing tried to defend himself, claiming he was cornered and had no choice. She wasn't buying it. Smack. She hit him, and he yelped, begging for mercy. She told him to memorize the pain. His arm was a mess of purple bruising, and she couldn't promise a quick recovery. He protested that he didn't enjoy getting wrecked, but it was do or die. In that moment, he was the only thing standing between the team and that roach monster. Shan Yin responded by digging her elbow hard into his back, making him scream for her to be gentle. Just grit your teeth, she ordered. Channeling her chi was the only way to blast that healing energy straight into his system. But gravity had other plans. Her chest ended up mashed right against his face. He jerked his head away like he'd been burned. Unlike Shan Yin's rough style, Qingjiao's chi control was surgical. The herbal paste sank into his pores, smooth and deep. The pain vanished, replaced by a soothing buzz. Until the vibe shifted. The master strolled in and instantly hit the brakes. It looked bad. Qingjiao, straddling Jing, pressed against his lower back, while Shan Yin was practically digging her elbows into him. Both girls turned tomato red. Now, the master knew Jing had unlocked the legendary golden scales technique. Seeing his star pupil this wrecked, he couldn't wrap his head around what kind of beast could inflict damage like that. Know the Golden Wind Dojo? Jing rasped. Li nodded. Oh yeah, he knew him. Their boss, Xiao Hongyuan, they'd thrown hands back in the day. That dojo bragged their style turned limbs into lethal blades. Empty hands, deadly weapons, that was their motto. Li got curious and decided to test that theory personally, so he crashed their spot for a duel. Jing's jaw dropped when he heard it wasn't a one-on-one cage match. Li shrugged. Once I started mopping the floor with their master, his students didn't exactly sit back and watch. Too bad for them. Their weak internal energy bounced right off his golden scales. He dropped them one by one punch, one sleep. Still, Li admitted they weren't total frauds. If you ever square up with them, he warned, treat every empty hand like it's gripping a razor. But then he smirked. For Jing, it barely mattered. Rock, paper, scissors. Hidden Dragon's Golden Scales armor is the hard counter to their Golden Wind White Rainbow Sword. At the same level, they can't scratch you. But if they outrank you in power, well, caution won't save your skin then. It clicked. That's why Kai Ping couldn't touch Hui Ying earlier. She must have tanked the hits with a god relic. Made him wonder, where does a guy like Kai Ping actually rank in the Golden Wind food chain? Flip over, Shan Yin commanded. Backs fixed, time to handle the front. Qingjiao, geared up for round 2. The master practically moonwalked out the door. Healing takes, a lot of stamina, he shouted, fleeing the scene. Jing smelled a setup. I can take it from here, he stammered. She shot him a look. Stop talking trash. Just chill and let us do the work, they insisted. That phrasing? Yeah. Jing turned bright red. Look, the guy isn't chasing romance, but he's a teenage dude. Hormones are undefeated. This level of intimacy was way outside his comfort zone. He squeezed his eyes shut and tried to think about punching stuff. Shan Yin giggled at how rigid he was. Their hands glided over him, rubbing the medicine in with rhythmic precision. The heat flooding his veins felt amazing, but his brain was screaming. He started panicking, especially when a finger grazed his waistline. Eyes snapped open. Bam! Qing Jiao was leaning in way too close. Felt like a torture test for his self-control. Shan Yin saw it. Then Qing Jiao caught the vibe too. She flushed crimson. My bad, Jing blurted out. It's not me. It's just biology. He was apologizing profusely. Shan Yin shook her head. Yeah, we can't keep going like this. Mortified, he begged to finish the job solo. They bailed fast. Was that a deliberate tease? He honestly couldn't tell. 1 hour of power cycling later, his skin still felt like static, numb, itchy, and stinging all over. Finally hit him how wrecked he actually was. And it all stemmed from being a rookie with his own skills. The golden scales transformation wasn't just armor. It used Jin force to weave his skin into a single, unbreakable net, catching and scattering impact energy. Instead of taking the hit in one spot, the force rippled across his entire body. That drastically killed the damage. Now the secret of that invincible defense made sense, and why the master was so cocky about beating the Golden Wind style. Their white rainbow sword relied on pinpoint, needle-focused strikes. Against a defense that spreads impact like water? Totally useless. Hidden Dragon style didn't play fair. Every move was a lethal finisher. He still had the blood-tempering Shaking Star Fire to learn, and the tendon-training eye-piercing current. But first, recovery. Jing dragged himself home. Fengna spotted him instantly. You're late, she waved, barely looking up. Did you bring snacks? Jing froze in the doorway. She wasn't a cat, she was human again. What the hell? According to the ancient texts, regaining human form wasn't random. There was a method to the madness, something she'd laid out just past noon. It hit her like a lightning bolt. She could trigger the transformation herself, but that realization came with a heavy price she had to bail. Still, she couldn't just vanish, so she chose to linger a bit longer. He noticed the shift and pressed her. Why leave? Was the vibe off? She dropped the truth bomb. Staying glued to his side was painting a giant target on his back for the Kangdae Security Company, the Dragon Sect, and probably a dozen other shadowy threats lurking in the dark. She squeezed his hand tight, confessing that this little domestic chapter with him, it had been the happiest streak of her life. She'd felt totally weightless, living that carefree cat life, just snacking, napping, and playing, without a single heavy thought clouding her mind. But reality was calling. She was still the sect leader, and duty didn't sleep. As tears welled up in her eyes, Jing caught the shimmer. He didn't hesitate, pulling her into a crushing hug. He told her straight up if he kicked her to the curb, just because things got a little spicy with danger, he'd be absolute garbage. He demanded she stay, regardless of the risks. He was ready to face the heat with her, side by side. Her voice trembled as she asked if he was for real. The second his answer landed, her whole face lit up, and she latched onto him like a lifeline. Suddenly, the system went haywire. Someone's affection levels just skyrocketed, sending his charm technique XP off the charts. It started with a solid bump, gaining 668 experience, but the notifications kept blowing up his screen. Another 784 points rolled in. A third window popped up right after, dropping a massive 851 charm technique experience. Boom, his charm technique hit level 7, sitting pretty at 131 out of 4,500 points. Jing was floored. Usually, a girl looking his way was worth peanuts, a few dozen points max. This was a whole different league. That's when the gears in his head started turning. He got dead serious, telling her they needed to have a tactical talk. Intrigued, she leaned in. He broke it down. Every time her emotions went into overdrive, it sped up her fusion with the cattail ring, inching her closer to that god-tier state, reincarnating as Bastet. Then he clarified it wasn't just any feels. It had to match the exact vibe from their first fusion. Back in the bathtub, the implication hit her instantly. Her face turned beet red, guard going up. She asked what exactly he was plotting. He quickly threw his hands up. This wasn't about his desires. It was entirely about what she wanted to do. She scooted back instinctively. Jing scrambled to explain he was just proposing a strategy. Did she want to try intentionally unlocking that power? She looked confused. He laid out the facts. History showed that everyone who incarnated as Bastet didn't turn into monsters. They just got insanely powerful. Since they were already beefing with a giant like Kangdae Security, they needed every weapon in the arsenal. She was stunned that he'd actually strategized this deeply. She asked if this intel on the cattail ring was legit. Jing didn't blink. He trusted his source with his life. Suddenly, she tackled him to the floor, declaring they should test it right now. Jing panicked, trying to pump the brakes. She clarified quickly, don't get it twisted. She just did the math. More power equals more safety. Jing told her to save the explanation. He got the memo. She asked for the game plan. He suggested recreating the exact conditions from that day. She blushed hard, but after a beat, she nodded in agreement. They headed to the tub, carefully getting into the same positions as before. The energy was so intense, she ended up gripping his hand until her knuckles turned white. When the dust settled, Jing wondered if the ritual was done. Suddenly, the cattail ring started glowing. He reached out, siphoning the divinity straight from it. It clicked, forcing the fusion between the cat and the ring was basically a divinity generator. Thinking about it, it added up. Ramping up the fusion was like mining power directly from the foreign god Bastet, trapped inside the artifact. His divinity absorption hit 33 out of 500. A god is a god, so naturally, there was loot to be had. She flexed, mentioning she felt buffed. He felt the upgrade too. With his new durability stats, a normal guy with a knife probably couldn't even scratch his paint. He pointed out that earlier, her claws tore him up, but now, just faint lines. She apologized instantly. He brushed it off, asking if the upgrade was just physical. He told her to focus, check her internal status for any new skills. Meanwhile, his divinity absorption had already surged to 102 out of 500. He was silently praying for a jackpot. The siphoning speed wasn't just fast, it was accelerating out of control. She unsheathed her razor-sharp claws, announcing her technique as the serpent-slaying vanguard. Makes sense, considering Bastet, the wildcat war goddess, famously rocked the title of Serpent Slayer. She had literally decapitated the Chaos Serpent Apophis, unlocking admin privileges to nerf anything reptilian. Jing's curiosity spiked instantly. Then she casually dropped a bombshell. Dragons and snakes? Basically the same aesthetic, which meant his hidden dragon style was now squarely on her hit list. She tapped his scales, and Jing was shook. He couldn't process it. He'd spent ages grinding this dragon tech only to give himself a permanent, built-in debuff. He tried to argue the logic immediately. It's just named Hidden Dragon. It's not actual dragon DNA. He asked if a mere name really triggered the hard counter. She smirked, explaining that god-tier hacks don't care about his logic, they don't need to make sense. If the skill has dragon in the title, she owns it. Jing thought the mechanics were totally broken, but then the light bulb went on. Wait. With this cheat code, she could absolutely wreck the dragon sect whenever she felt like it. It clicked for her too. She was done taking orders. If those creeps dared to hunt her down again, she'd give them a nightmare they'd never wake up from. A legit villainous grin crept onto her face until Jing pinched her cheeks to snap her out of it. He told her to save the drama for later. Time to crash. She morphed back into her cat form and curled up next to him. Jing was reeling from the stats. He'd only triggered the cattail ring fusion once, yet the loot drop was insane. He banked 309 units of divine substance. That's equivalent to absorbing an entire god relic. Only now did the reality of divine substance hit him. If this stuff is the battery for a god relic's power, then draining it should technically brick the relic, right? But weirdly, the god relics he farmed showed zero performance drop. It made no sense, so he decided to stop overthinking the glitch and focus on pumping his stats. He pushed Twin Life to level 3, burning over 500 units of divine substance. On the upgrade, the perk, 2 extra lives. He could now pick his respawn window anytime within 7 days. The cooldown ticked down from 80 to 70 days. Just as he calculated, every level shaved off 10 days. It begged the question, at level 10, does he get infinite retries? Then the system popped up a menu. Defense, reflexes, processing power, focus, or memory. He hesitated, unsure which passive buff to lock in. 3 days later, at the Hidden Dragon Dojo, he'd made his choice, pure tankiness. He threw a punch, and the air literally rippled with visible shockwaves. Back then, he'd committed to physical defense, even though reaction speed was tempting. But looking at the meta, the Hidden Dragon style's 5 great killing moves were capped by his hardware, his body's durability. He channeled Jin Force into a technique. If fighting is just math, then linking movement and force is like solving complex equations. Twin Life didn't change the equation, it just slapped a multiplier on top. Final output, doubled. Rolling Wind and Thunder was already a nuke that exploded with double power. But after buffing his defense and stacking the Twin Life passive, he was borderline untouchable. When he let it rip, the pressure didn't just cut the air. It pulverized the concrete floor beneath his feet. Shu Ning hollered at him. He had a visitor, and she sounded super salty about it. It was Voidblade. She said they needed to talk. He didn't think she'd actually pull up in real life. Shu Ning demanded an ID check, but Jing was speechless. Voidblade cut in. You done yapping? She claimed her time was money. Shu Ning snapped back, screaming that if she had info, she should just spill it instead of acting all mysterious. Voidblade kept it cool. Sorry, classified. His ears only. That just poured gas on Shu Ning's anger. When Voidblade suggested a private chat, away from prying eyes, Jing felt the impending doom. Once they were clear of the drama, he asked, What was so critical, she had to deliver it face to face. Chill, she said. I'm just the messenger. Jing's mind went straight to Yu King. One look at her face confirmed he was dead on. Voidblade popped a hologram of a girl. Meet Otogi Suzuka, she announced. Third heir to the Otogi clan. Huge players in the Far East's 6th Great Zaibatsu. The weapon in her hand was God Relic 519, the Unbreakable Blade. Its perk was simple. Literal invincibility. It was the classic paradox, the ultimate spear meeting the ultimate shield. It felt like a glitch in the Matrix, way too perfect. Voidblade clocked his skepticism instantly. In the world of God Relics, this thing was an anomaly. No shield existed that could tank a hit from it. Someone once tried a crazy experiment, blasting God 519 with temperatures topping 10 million degrees. The blade didn't even flinch, 0 damage. He asked if this was a lockdown gig. She shut that down fast. God 519 wasn't going rogue, so containment was off the table. When he asked for the game plan, Voidblade dropped Yu King's actual order. This wasn't about duty or what she needed. It was a question. Did he have the guts to do it? Then it clicked. Yu King didn't want him to guard it. He wanted him to steal it. Otogi Suzuka was in Jusia for the 5U19 Unlimited Fighting Tournament. Attacking him out of the blue? That's a diplomatic nightmare waiting to happen. But the rules had changed. God 519 has a wild mechanic. It picks its own boss. If the wielder takes an L in battle, ownership instantly transfers to the winner. They knew Jing was a total loot goblin for relics. That's why they were baiting him, pushing him to grab it with his own hands. The mission was simple. Crush Suzuka in the ring, secure the win, and the ultimate weapon is his to keep. Cut to the southern city pier. A henchman was spilling tea to his master, their little junior brother, was going viral in Fengcheng, sweeping 12 prelims back to back. The Golden Wind Dojo was trending hard. The master just sneered. A few wins and the kid's ego is already inflated? Please. He's unstable, a total joke waiting to happen. Another disciple clapped back, claiming the kid was a prodigy, sent from the heavens, and a little swagger never hurt anyone. Hong Yuan ignored the hype, asking if White Raven was still sniffing around. The reply was chilling. Everyone involved had been silenced. White Raven had hit a dead end. Though, losing Kai Ping was a regretful bit of collateral damage. Hong Yuan shrugged it off. Kai Ping's death was just a speed bump on the highway to success. Eyes on the prize. Beijing asked about the junior's fate. Hong Yuan got cryptic. The path that kid is walking isn't the same as theirs. He added that they weren't looping Changshuan in on the scheme. With the finals coming up, why ruin his focus? Beijing nodded, falling in line. Smash cut to our MC, Jing, looking absolutely shook. He had only told the master that he was solo queuing the U19 tournament, yet the whole squad had pulled up. Fengna, Shanyin, Qingjia, and Li the gang was all here. Xunying played the concerned big sister card, claiming the streets were too dangerous for a boy to walk alone. They were just there for protection. Jing didn't buy it. Dangerous for who? The bad guys? He pivoted to Fengna, dripping with sarcasm. Let me guess, you're on security detail too? Fengna turned bright red, stammering that they needed to keep grinding on the Bastet fusion. He asked if she was addicted to the power trip. She started sweating bullets. No way, but Xunying clocked the vibe. The kid and that cat were inseparable. He even brought the furball to the tournament. Internally, Fengna just wanted to scream, I want to be near him, and tell Xunying to back off. Out loud, Xunying stirred the pot, suggesting the cat was a distraction and should stay at the hotel. Fengna went 0 to 100, ditch the cat, and I run away from home. Jing was left speechless. Defeated, he let the whole circus tag along. Later, inside the dojo, the vibe shifted. It was Shan Yin. She dropped a truth bomb. With his current stats, there was absolutely no universe where he beats Otogi Suzuka. Jing asked for a number. Her estimate? He was a level 3 noob. Is that a Fengcheng exclusive rank? He asked. She puffed up. Yeah, I invented it. Jing stared, deadpan. But she wasn't joking. Her data was solid. Suzuka entered the sect at 10 and speed ran to head disciple in 5 years. 3 years later, he was a martial arts legend. His power scaling? Equivalent to their own eldest, senior brother. Shunying hit him with the million-dollar question. Think you can take Big Bro? Jing had been around long enough to know the math. The gap between them wasn't a crack. It was a canyon. If they threw hands right now, it wouldn't be a fight. It would be a massacre. Xunying smirked. She definitely dug that level of self-awareness, but that wasn't the wisdom bomb she was trying to drop. The U19 Unlimited Fighting Tournament isn't just a brawl. It is the sole global arena where bringing a weapon isn't cheating. It is the point. In that ring, the steel in your hand dictates whether you live or die. A fighter's dominance is inseparable from their mastery over their gear. So she hit him with the million-dollar question. If you had to pick your perfect weapon, what would it be? Jing didn't even blink. Nothing. I only trust these hands. Cute sentiment, she countered. But would you still say that if I told you Suzuka, strapped with a blade, hits as hard as 9 eldest senior brothers combined? That stat check froze him cold. She scribbled 3 words on the whiteboard, wielding a juxi sword. Now, she hadn't thrown hands with the eldest brother personally, but she knew he was an absolute monster who had mastered every lethal art in the Hidden Dragon arsenal. Even if Jing maxed out his golden skills, blocking a full-throttle strike from that guy? Near impossible. Face 9 of them at once? You are dead meat. That is the cue. Shonin pulled out a saber wrapped in black cloth and told him to take a look. Even through the fabric, Jing felt the aura. This was a god-tier weapon. Shuning raised an eyebrow. How did you know what it is? It told me, he whispered. As the cloth fell away, words failed him. It wasn't just metal. It was calling to his soul. Whispering, I want you to wield me. Shunying beamed. I haven't given you a proper welcome gift since you joined the sect, so consider this yours. Jing, being practical, asked the price tag. Oh, just some dragon bone, fused with star iron, moonlight, thread, and blood amber. Plus, it was forged by the legendary Master He Juxi himself. Total value? About 20 million. She shrugged like it was pocket change, but Jing did the math. That sword was worth more than his entire existence. He took the blade, but holding it felt alien. He hoped for some video game logic equip item, instantly master it, but reality wasn't glitching in his favor. Snap. Danger sense tingled. Something launched at his head. Instinct took over. He raised the blade and Clang blocked it. It was Master Li. Jing didn't waste time. Does Hidden Dragon Style actually have a manual for this thing? Li smirked. Top-tier martial arts? They are all connected. As he spoke, he tipped his tea onto the floor. What you do with fists, you do with steel. Jing's jaw dropped. That spilled tea just drilled a clean hole through the concrete. But Li cut the awe short. Tournament is coming. You need a finisher. Now. Suddenly, reality warped. Jing's mind was yanked into a void. He saw the master with a blade. But then, swords. Everywhere. He was gripping one, but his body? Shredded. Slashes opened up on his skin out of nowhere. He looked down, his fingers were severed. Panic spiked. Then he looked lower. A mountain of corpses beneath his boots. He gasped, hyperventilating. He was terrified, shaking. Li's voice boomed through the illusion. How does it feel? Then it clicked. Pure killing intent. Li broke it down. Asura, blade intent. You push the chi of motion to the absolute breaking point. Master this, and you can cut people with your mind. No touch required. Jing, ever the nerd, asked, is there, like, a scientific basis for that? Li laughed. Kid, we summon dragons. Science left the chat a long time ago. But since Jing wanted the way of the sword, Li agreed to teach him the Asura blade intent. Even if his body wasn't ready, swinging with that specific murderous vibe was a game changer. They started right then. Jing hesitated. Sparring with you seems a bit suicidal. Who said anything about me? Li pointed. Qingjiao is your partner. The instructions were simple. Forget form. Just attack her with the intent to end her life. And since it was Qingjiao, he didn't need to hold back. He slashed hard, but she sidestepped it like it was nothing. She threw a lethal chop. He barely ducked it. He reset his stance, gripping the hilt tighter. Again, Li barked. Watching them trade blows, Li realized something scary. Jing was a natural with a blade too. At this rate, he would master it in a week, maybe 4 days. But the training montage got cut short. A disciple came sprinting in. Master, someone from the Golden Wind Dojo just crashed the gate. They are looking for Bam. The messenger got shoved aside. Enter the challenger from Golden Wind. He stepped up, pointed at Jing, and demanded a death match. Jing looked confused. And you are? Li Chengshuan, direct disciple of Golden Wind. He puffed his chest out. And when I win? Jing had just one question on his mind, but then a memory triggered. He flashed back to the participant list. Yu Cheng had handed him that name was definitely on it. Boom! That was the smoking gun linking this dojo to the cockroach freaks. Li gave Jing the green light to exchange a few blows, telling him not to sweat it. This was still his master's turf, after all. Jing locked eyes with Cheng Xuan and accepted the challenge. But Jing already knew the score he was staring at, the guy who punched the ticket for number 1 and number 9. He warned Cheng Xuan that he was biting off more than he could chew and told him to watch his back. Cheng Xuan literally waved him off, bragging that he'd seen plenty of dudes who look swole on the outside, but crumble like cookies on the inside. Cheng Xuan flexed his seniority, telling the kid that, out of respect, he should address him as Brother Li. He leaned in close with a whisper, telling Jing to chill out. Big Brother promised to keep the kid gloves on. Since this was Jing's hood, he didn't want the rookie to lose too much face. Jing could only let out a heavy sigh. He told the guy he talked too much. Jing drove his blade into the concrete and ghosted. Cheng Xuan froze, trying to process the glitch in reality. Jing respawned right behind him, primed to strike. but Cheng Xuan acted like he read the script. He morphed his hand into a jagged blade. Jing didn't flinch. He clenched his fist and threw a heavy right. The collision was massive, forcing Cheng Xuan on the back foot. His eyes lit up. This kid wasn't just some NPC. Jing had to admit it internally, too. That golden wind white rainbow sword style actually lived up to the hype. Jing's knuckles were bloody. It felt foreign. This was his first legit 1v1 against a trained martial artist. Before this, his only ops were cyborgs or cockroach monsters. He was actually pumped to finally get a proper boss fight. Cheng Xuan didn't wait. He charged in, swinging those blade arms like a maniac. Jing tanked the hit with his reinforced forearm. The attack barely scratched the paint on his dragon scales. Cheng Xuan stared in disbelief when he saw that golden, armored skin. Jing was only 17. He demanded to know how this kid power leveled that fast. Jing's answer? A fist to the mouth and a shut up. While airborne, Jing unloaded a machine gun flurry of punches. Fengna was digging the show. Xiaoying was stunned by Jing's insane growth. Meanwhile, Jing was analyzing the stats, wondering if that sword technique buffed physical defense too. Anyone else would have folded after 2 or 3 taps. Yet Cheng Xuan ate dozens of hits like he was made of steel, barely flinching. Then Jing spotted an opening in his guard. He activated Twin Life. Right as he was about to land the critical hit, someone shouted for them to cut it out. Jing was startled but hit the cancel button instantly. Hong Yuan stepped up, reminding them it was just a spar, no need to catch a body. Cheng Xuan was already leaking HP anyway.